The way you say that makes it sound like she's putting it on, but it is actually her accent.
It probably is actually her accent, so we're not going to attempt to mull it. But it's great fun to be here with you, young Tom.
Absolutely, and brilliant fun to be with you, middle-aged Dawn.
Thank you very much. Can you say that? And by the way, young Tom, if I was middle-aged, right, I'd be living till I was 120.
Well,
I
firmly believe we're all going to be living until we're at least 150.
Well, actually, if I get one of those chips, you know, maybe like you've got a chip in your head now, haven't you?
Yeah,
because you are literally AI generated. You're not real, are you?
This is the thing. Once we've all got chips in our heads, we'll be living until we're 347.
Yeah.
That's not a number.
Does that mean I've got to be sitting next to you for another 120 years?
I fear that is the way you're going to have to pay for the chip.
Can I have my chip removed now, please?
Well, would you like a chip in your brain? Elon Musk is providing them to Americans and soon to Brits as well, although for the moment it's just the paraplegic.
Yes.
But of course, much more to come on the show as well. How do you feel about the simmering tensions across the country? Are we living in tinderbox Britain, and could we see more violent protests break out this summer month?
And are you happier, and do you feel safer than 12 months ago when those riots kicked off? No. I mean, has anything changed? I mean, do you feel any better? I know I don't.
Well, gbnews.com/your say is the way to get involved as ever. All of that to come and so much more after your latest news headlines with Lewis.
Dawn, Tom, thank you very much. Good afternoon. It's just after 12 o'clock. Here are your latest GB News headlines. 10 men have been arrested over historic child sexual abuse offences in Bradford. The 10 men, aged between 49 and 71, have been interviewed and bailed pending further inquiries. The allegations relate to offences which are reported to have occurred in the district between 1994 and 1997 and relate to 6 victims who were aged 13 and 15 at the time. It's been revealed that foreign-born prisoners account for 1 in 8 of the total UK population. According to official data published for the first time, the number of foreigners in prisons for serious violent, sexual and theft offences has also risen over the past year. Conservative MP Katie Lamb told GB News they should all be removed from the country.
They all need to be deported. So the Conservatives actually in Parliament tried to amend the law, the Borders Bill that the government passed earlier this year, to say that everybody who commits a crime will need to leave the country. And I and my Shadow Home Office colleagues tabled those amendments and voted for them. The government voted them down, but there is absolutely no reason to have foreign criminals in the UK.
Reports suggest a Whitehall spy unit has been used by the government to target social media posts criticising migrant hotels and two-tier policing. The Telegraph newspaper claims officials working for the Technology Secretary Peter Kyle have flagged videos with, quote, concerning narratives to social media giants, including TikTok, warning that they were exacerbating tensions on the streets. Home Office Minister Dame Diana Johnson told GB News Breakfast that free speech is a cornerstone of our democracy and the Online Safety Act protects it.
No, we're not having our free speech monitored at all. And it's absolutely right that people can express their views within the law on social media. What I would say is that the police, and particularly last autumn when we had the disorder in August actually, it was absolutely right that the police should be looking and monitoring what was being put onto social media in terms of organisation of riots and have that information to allow them then to plan what they needed to provide in terms of protecting the public.
The US has announced fresh tariffs on more than 90 countries as Donald Trump's deadline to strike trade deals passes. Tariffs on Canada are increased from 25% to 35%. The Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says he's disappointed. And south of the border, higher tariffs for Mexico are being paused for another 90 days, while Brazil faces 50% levies. Tariffs on the UK remain at 10%. Jeremy Clarkson has revealed his farm will shut down for 2 months due to a TB outbreak. In a social media post on X, the former Top Gear host said everyone at Diddley Squat Farm was absolutely devastated. He later wrote that the infected cow was pregnant with twins. Cattle that fail a TB test or animals that have inconclusive results for 2 consecutive tests must be isolated, then sent to slaughter. Well, those are your latest GB News headlines for now. I'm Lewis Mackenzie. Finance next.
My Claim Group sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
And here's a quick snapshot of today's markets. The pound will buy you $1.3154 and 1.1532 euros. The price of gold is at £2,503.95 per ounce, and the FTSE 100 is at 9,086 points.
My Claim Group sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 8 minutes past midday. Now, 12 months ago, Britain was in turmoil. Burning streets, broken trust, and the 2024 riots marked a turning point, not just in politics, but in the lives of ordinary people.
Today, we return to the heart of our community to see exactly what has changed. GB News presenter Martin Daubney joins us live from Sunderland.
Yeah, morning guys. Here we are in Sunderland, one of 18 towns impacted by those riots as they spread nationwide in the aftermath of the triple killing, of course, by Axel Rudakabana. I'm in Sunderland. I'm in the community soup kitchen in Sunderland with the CEO, Andrea Bell. Andrea, welcome to GB News. 1 year on from the riots that swept through this very street outside here. I wanted to ask you, what do you think caused them?
Simple. Lack of communication, lack of knowledge of any situation with regard to the sanctuary city status, just not letting people know facts. It was very much speculation, and there was no slow introduction to this. It just seemed like an instant influx of people that our local community had no understanding of why they were here.
And it's worth pointing out some of the facts, just so people are aware at home about the City of Sanctuary. It's a scheme that towns can volunteer to be a part of, mainly, has to be said, Labour areas, and it's about asylum seeker dispersal. Now, Sunderland was impacted in a huge way. 830 have been accepted into the area, and that has created a huge shortage of social housing in the area for local people. There's now a 1.1 year waiting list for anybody to get on that, and an 800% increase in 10 years of asylum seekers coming into the area. And I wanted to get from you, Andrea, how that's impacted, for example, the sort of people that you serve in your soup kitchen. Can they find it very hard to get any social housing?
Yes. I mean, 6 years now, even emergency accommodation, if it's out of hours, there hasn't been one out of hours placement that we've managed to do out of hours, which is wrong. Lots of people now are complaining that they can't get accommodation for any reason. There's definitely no private properties to let. They've all gone, which there used to be in abundance. So I think the whole situation, I think in general, it's just been a little bit too much too soon, and I think the local people aren't quite understanding why they can't be possibly looked after in the same way.
And of course, the backdrop of course, Sunderland was once a majestic, global epicentre, shipbuilding, coal mining, glass making. All of that went. None of it was ever really replaced. So you have this lack of socio-economic opportunity. You have an influx of people from outside the area who locals, for right or for wrong, think are getting preferential treatment. That created the perfect powder keg for what happened a year ago, right outside here.
Well, this street was closed down. One of the support groups for asylum seekers was targeted in the list that was sent out all over online. So the whole street had to be closed down. Everybody basically battened down the hatches. It was just frightening the information that we were getting with regard to what was coming to this street.
And Andrea, you can see over on the wall there, you've got just loads and loads of awards. You could wallpaper this place with awards. You clearly make a huge impact. I believe they call you the Hendon Godmother. You're a pillar of the community. Tell us about the kind of people that come through your door. Do you see any asylum seekers here?
Sadly, we don't. No, we don't. It's been 6 years we've been open, and it is generally low income, unemployed. And at the minute, it's quite a lot more employed people who are needing a little bit of support rather than the longer support. But no, we don't get. I mean, we've got quite a reputation for me saying people are just people. Anybody's welcome, and we have got mixed cultures come here, but we haven't had an influx of people who have sought asylum coming here. No.
And why do you think that is? I'm
presuming they have other places that they can go, because they definitely don't come here.
So perhaps they're already well taken care of in the community. Can I quickly ask you, Andrea Bell, a question I've been asking everybody throughout the day. Do you think that the town, the area has moved on, or do you think that there could still be potentially some future civil unrest here?
I think that there's still work to be done. I think more or less this area is very multicultural. And there's been snippets of things that have tried to bring people together, but definitely not good enough to resolve some of the ideas and the views of people locally. There needs to be more work to get this community closer together.
Well, Megan, thank you for inviting us into your kitchen. I think it's time to put the kettle on now. Thank you very much. Andrea Bell, CEO of the Community Soup Kitchen in Sunderland. And stay with us throughout the rest of the show. I'll be doing my show 3 till 6 p.m. in a working men's club, speaking to former miners, former shipbuilders about what they think went wrong in Sunderland.
Martin, thank you very much. And as you heard Martin say, we will be going back to Martin live throughout the show, and throughout the afternoon he's doing his own show from 3 o'clock. You don't want to miss it. OK, let's get more reaction from our Home and Security Editor Mark White and also Political Editor Christopher Hope in the studio. Mark, let's come to you first on this one. I don't feel any different to what I felt this time last year. I feel even more angry. Is that natural?
Well, I think the tensions are absolutely there. If anything, they're even more tense scenes in towns across the country now, because there has been no end to the uncontrolled mass migration, in particular illegal migration across the English Channel. That has really stoked some real concerns in communities. And we saw a couple of years back or so that protesting outside asylum hotels was something that was an issue, a real live issue in multiple communities across the country. That kind of died away a bit. We had the Southport riots, of course, which then spread to 18 other locations around the country, but all stemming really from that terrible tragedy in Southport that kind of exacerbated the concerns that were already being felt. But now what we've got again are a series of incidents that have been linked to a number of asylum hotels where the local population don't think they've been told the whole truth by the authorities, or in some cases they accuse the authorities of suppressing key facts, and that's added to the anger. And so what you're seeing now is that the protests that we saw a couple of years back that died away are now manifesting themselves again in multiple protests in London and in Leeds, in Portsmouth, in Bournemouth, in Norfolk and in Epping and other locations apart from that.
And this is so difficult to deal with politically because, of course, whilst these communities demand hotels are shut, the government, I suppose, does not want to be seen to acquiesce to just public pressure, because then that encourages and incites many more and larger protests. And it's almost a game of whack-a-mole, Chris.
Well, I was struck by what Andrea Bell said there about the lack of communication driving the problems in Sunderland. An instant influx of people, she said, no understanding of why they were here. And that is, I think, what drives the protests we see elsewhere. We thought the Epping Hotel was closed. It was closed. Then it was reopened under this government. That issue with the Britannia Hotel in Canary Wharf that Mark White was covering, it seems to me the lack of telling people what's going on fuels the protest and makes it worse. And if they were more open about what was going on, it might dissipate the tension.
And yet the policy under this government, as it was under the previous government, is don't tell people where these hotels are because they think that will cause protests.
So
but I
trust
suppose
people.
here's the thing, people find out anyway.
They find out anyway, and maybe if they trust people to say, look, there's a problem, they've got to go somewhere, let's work together to make it happen. But by keeping it secret, it drives the tension, makes it much, much worse.
And obviously, we're talking about illegal migration and legal migration here. I mean, we keep sort of like getting confused between the two of them. But it is the illegal migration, Mark, that people get very angry about, because it is illegal. Coming into the country that way is illegal. And we've got 25,000 this year.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
astonishing.
And we are, without a doubt, on course to beat the all-time record, which was in 2022, when 46,000 migrants crossed the English Channel in that year. And I foresee actually a real difficulty ahead in terms of social cohesion and how you keep communities on side, because the government is committed at the moment to trying to end the use of asylum hotels. And to be fair to them, and it started under the previous government, the number of asylum hotels has reduced by roughly half. So from more than 400, we're down to about 200
Is that because
asylum
they're putting
hotels.
them in private houses?
Well, this is what I was going to get on to say.
Sorry.
But what is happening now is that those who were in hotels are being filtered out into communities right across the country. And it's not just one hotel in a community where people are contained within an area, they know where the hotel is, and that has its problems, of course it does. But then effectively you're putting hundreds of people in that local community out into multiple streets right in the heart of communities. And that itself brings with it even more tensions.
And we've seen protests in places like Waterlooville where it is private accommodation that is now being sequestered for those illegal migrants. Mark, Chris, we're going to be back with you, of course, throughout the programme. But for now, thank you very much indeed.
OK, let's get more reaction on this story from... actually, no, let's first go to fresh protests have erupted outside the Epping Migrant Hotel we're just talking about. That was yesterday. Demonstrators returned with placards reading, "Protect our kids." They say they will not stop until the hotel is closed. So should the Home Office listen to legitimate local concerns and shut that hotel for good? Well, joining us now is Conservative Councillor for Epping and Thaden Boyce, Holly Whitbread.
Holly, thanks so much for being with us. This, of course, is not a problem that is going away anytime soon. Have you heard any more from the government about this particular issue in Epping?
No, so we had modest protests last night, thankfully not the violent side that we have seen in previous weeks, but we still have heard absolutely nothing from the Home Office. The leader of the council, the local MPs and the Police and Crime Commissioner have now come together to put more pressure, write a letter together and ask again for the meeting. But it's incredibly frustrating because despite calls at the council meeting unanimously last week from Labour councillors to Lib Dem, Greens and Independents, as well as the Conservatives, we were calling for that hotel to close across the board, and the Home Office are just continuing to ignore our concerns.
Holly, are they not talking to you at all, or are they literally saying, no, we can't close it? What is the situation?
So they occasionally share information. So as you can imagine, there's been various rumours. There was a rumour that the asylum seekers in the Bell had moved elsewhere. That wasn't the case. So they corrected that rumour. But in terms of when we asked for the hotel to close, they keep repeating the government line that the hotels will close within the course of this parliament. But that's 4 years. It's just not good enough. And whilst we keep pushing back, the Home Office just don't seem to want to have a conversation, want to listen.
And Holly, did you have any say in this hotel opening for migrants in the first place?
No. So the council were told, not consulted. We gave a very strong objection. This hotel was previously opened during the pandemic. We pushed for its closure. Then it finally closed last year. I think it was last April, only to be reopened by the Labour government earlier this year. So we were very frustrated. I mean, and there were numerous reasons. I mean, personally, I don't agree with the use of asylum hotels, but it's broader than that. It's very close to a local school. It's in a completely inappropriate location. And actually, worst of all, the people in this hotel are all males. We have no idea who they are. And then obviously we've had the incidents with the sexual assault as well as the arson just a couple of months before. So you can see why local people are quite rightly concerned.
Holly, from what you have just said, what, you know, they are young men. We don't know who they are. They're undocumented. They're near a school. There are some people that say what you've just said makes you racist and a bigot.
I mean, that's absolutely, not the case. And I always push back to say Epping is a very welcoming community. We're a diverse community. But obviously, when 80, 100 people have been dropped in our community and we have no idea who they are, and then there's 2 incidents like we've seen, people are right to be concerned. It doesn't matter where those people come from. If you don't know who's living around you, it's going to cause concern. And I think particularly in the nature that some of these people entered the country, which is illegally on boats, people are angry. They feel like their taxpayers' money is being used for a hotel like this, and it's just not right and it's not fair.
OK.
Well, Holly Whitbread, thanks so much for joining us again here on Good Afternoon Britain. Appreciate your time. Now, of course, if this is all getting to you, the idea that so many communities around the country are suffering with hotels, perhaps you'd like to get away because you could win £54,321 to have a holiday of a lifetime and forget about all the problems here.
Is it the last day, Tom?
It is the last day. Lines close at 4 p.m.
Marvellous. We better get a wriggle on. Here's all the details.
There's only a few hours left now to see how you can win big. £54,321 in tax-free cash is up for grabs in our summer Great British giveaway. Cash to spend on anything you like. All of that cash could send you on a holiday, boost your savings, or just send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing. Lines close at 4 p.m. today, so get your entry in now. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
27 now. Heaven, Health and Beauty in Shropshire is celebrating the official unveiling of their royal warrant today.
Well, it's been recognised as the supplier of skincare products and treatments to Her Majesty the Queen after she first used the company's products 19 years ago. She's a loyal customer.
She is a loyal customer. Jack Carson has been getting the treatment.
I was just like, I wish my mum was here to see this.
There's a beaming smile on the face of Heaven, Health and Beauty founder Deborah Mitchell as she celebrates the unveiling of their royal warrant. Starting her business with £10 in her pocket in 1995, Deborah says she's worked from the ground up and started providing skincare treatments to Her Majesty the Queen 19 years ago. Today she says she's honoured to be a recipient of a royal warrant.
It is a feeling that you cannot explain, but I was very lucky before having the royal warrant when Camilla Parker Bowles was Camilla Parker Bowles, and I didn't tell anybody I did her treatments. It hit in the press, and then this product, which is the bee venom made from bees, makes the skin look younger using a Botox alternative.
The King and Queen have granted royal warrants to almost 400 companies that supply the royal household, with each one lasting up to 5 years. It also means those companies can display the royal arms on their products. Director and daughter of Deborah, Ella Mitchell, makes this business a family affair, and she's made sure the packaging is already getting a fresh look. Ella says she's proud the products are made in Britain.
The achievement itself, you feel proud to be British, and I think that's one of the core values of us.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 27 minutes past midday. Now, the Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Philp, has said on this very channel that it's reasonable for the public to call out and expose crime where it occurs. Let's take a listen.
Increasingly, this aren't we on social media, people taking matters into their own hands, even we heard Nigel Farage say his family member's phone was stolen in Victoria. It ended up in an address in Buckinghamshire. He didn't go and try and get it. But do you think people should do it? It's risky, isn't it, if you become vigilantes in our own country?
Well, I think it's just part of the job for me to try and expose these things.
Should other people do the same as you? Take on wrongdoing?
So I think
film it?
I think people should be calling out wrongdoing, actually. Okay. I mean, it's up to them to decide whether they feel it's safe, and that's for each person to make a judgment. But I think it's reasonable for the public to call out and expose criminality where it occurs.
Put your camera on, film it.
For example, yeah,
and just say, why have you walked through behind me in this gate, in this tailgating me in a transport situation?
Yeah,
or
yes, I agree. I think
violence.
I think exposing that kind of thing is important.
OK, so speaking of someone that's actually punched a lamppost because I couldn't get hold of the crook that had stolen my phone, he was very lucky, I'll tell you. We're asking, should you step in and help stop a crime?
Well, delighted to be joined by the Fair Cop founder, Harry Miller, and the academic and anarchist, Dr. Lisa Mackenzie. Lisa, we're going to start with you. Is it right to intervene when a crime takes place?
No, and there's several reasons for that. Number one, you don't know if that's safe, and none of us should be putting ourselves in danger. Crime in Britain has changed exponentially in the last few years. It's becoming more violent. So I think stepping in, and putting yourself in danger, I don't think we should do that. The second thing is we should be holding the police and the politicians to account. This is their job. This is not our job. We're not all individuals just bumping around into each other. We are a society. And if we continue to allow our society to be individualised and we take on the responsibility of government or the police or the state, then what we have is a ungovernable and disunited society. And unfortunately, we're going that way now. So it's time we need to hold the police and the politicians to account, do their job.
Harry, what's your response?
Well, I think the academic has got it entirely wrong, which is precisely what I would expect from an academic. We are individuals. We're not ruled. We are not ruled.
Let Harry finish, Lisa.
Lisa, we are not ruled by state. And when it comes to policing, what we've got to remember is this: the police are those members of the public who choose to do full time that which all of us are tasked to do. We have a civilian police force, and if it's right that a police officer chases down a robber, then it's absolutely right that a member of the public also chases down a robber, because that is the state of policing. That is the way our policing system is set up. Now, of course, I do agree that there needs to be a dynamic risk assessment, because we don't have tasers, we don't have guns, and we don't have radios to call backup as members of the public. But fundamentally, once we've done that dynamic risk assessment, yes, absolutely, it is on us to go out there, to call out the crime, and if necessary, to stop the crime from taking place. We are responsible members, subjects of the king. We are citizens, and our police force are fellow citizens. It is not down solely for them to put things right.
OK, Lisa.
Well, for a start, you can say I am an academic, but I'm also a working class woman. I live on a council estate. So I think I do know a lot about crime. I've lived in communities where there's been crack houses next door. I know all about how awful crime is in your neighbourhood. But I also know that putting yourself at risk is not the right thing to do. And when are you going to do this dynamic risk assessment? As somebody has just snatched your phone out your hand, are you going to go, right, dynamic risk assessment here? Or are you going to say, actually, that phone, it's a nightmare, it's been taken, but it's not worth my life? I wouldn't be...
It's not, of course you do dynamic risk assessments. If you think that the person, if you're 5 foot and the robber's 10 foot, you leave them alone. If it looks like they've got a weapon, you leave them alone. But you do dynamic risk assessments, and it is our responsibility as citizens of this country to help the police out. The police are simply doing what all of us as citizens in the UK...
Harry, what do you say to those who do intervene? What do you say to those who do intervene in certain hairy situations and end up maybe socking a punch to someone and then get drawn into the legal proceedings afterwards? I mean, there are lots of have-a-go heroes who have actually... There are people who've been defending their own property who have ended up prosecuted because they've intervened.
Yeah, it's a risk. It's one of the things that we have to. It's part and parcel of the risk assessment, because unfortunately, our police force and the CPS they don't support police officers who are out there tackling crime. So there's very little chance that they're going to be supporting members of the public. But the fundamental question is this: should we be doing it? And the answer is clearly yes. We are all part and parcel responsible for our own safety. We are responsible as a group of civilians to make sure that crime does not get on.
And just finally, quickly, Lisa, what do you say?
Put it all down to the police.
What do you say when, I mean, police can't be everywhere all at once? I mean, what happens when they're far away?
Well, let's be honest, some of our police at the moment are on pride marches. Some of our police are actually not doing the... Well, they are. Some of our police are not doing their job at all. So let's hold those to account. Some of our councillors in our cities and towns are hiding and not coming out. So let us, and our MPs are definitely hiding from us. So let's hold those to account first, and then we can talk about what else we can do.
OK, well, Lisa McKenzie and Harry Miller, thanks indeed for joining us here on Good Afternoon Britain.
Yeah, actually, what do you think? What would you do? gbnews.com/your say. I mean, you know what I'd do.
Punch a lamppost.
Ran too fast, yeah. Don't punch a lamppost. It's really not good for your knuckles. OK, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. There's loads more coming up on today's show, isn't there, Tom?
Yes, a landmark Supreme Court ruling today could spark one of the biggest compensation payouts in UK history, as millions of drivers may have been missold car finance. We're going to find out all about it after your latest news headlines.
Good afternoon. The headlines from the GB newsroom. It's been revealed foreign-born prisoners account for 1 in 8 of the total UK jail population. Conservative MP Katie Lamb told GB News they should all be removed from the country.
They all need to be deported. There is absolutely no reason to have foreign criminals in the UK.
Reports suggest a Whitehall spy unit is being used by the government to target social media posts criticising migrant hotels and two-tier policing. 10 men have been arrested over historic child sexual abuse offences in Bradford. The 10 men, aged between 49 and 71, have been interviewed and bailed pending further inquiries. The US has announced fresh tariffs on more than 90 countries as Donald Trump's deadline to strike trade deals passes. Tariffs on the UK remain at 10%. Those are your latest GB News headlines for now. More from me in half an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello, very good day to you. This is your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, Storm Flores has just been named and it's going to bring some very wet and very windy weather, particularly to northern parts on Monday, but starting off going through the rest of today. And there are some showers around, particularly across central and more so eastern parts. And here it could be quite blustery too, but there will be some sunny breaks in between the showers. Fair good deal amount of sunshine across some western parts, and in that sunshine it's going to feel pretty warm. Temperatures not quite as high as they have been recently, but nonetheless still just about getting into the high teens or low 20s for quite a few places. Then as we go through into this evening, still a scattering of showers, particularly across central and eastern parts. The odd heavy one is possible. Further west, a greater chance of avoiding the showers. Across Northern Ireland, only 1 or 2 showers perhaps here. Across parts of northern England, central eastern Scotland, a fair few showers for a little while yet, but as we go overnight, most of the showers are going to fizzle out. They're going to die out and clear away, and so it is going to turn largely dry with clear skies, the exception being across parts of the far east of England, East Anglia for example, a swathe of showery rain likely to push in as we go through the early hours of tomorrow. Elsewhere, under those clear skies then, it is going to be a bit of a fresh night, a little bit chillier than some recent nights, with temperatures away from the towns and cities quite widely just about dipping into single digits. Then through tomorrow, yes, a bit more cloud and some showery rain across the far east, southeast of England early on, but otherwise it's looking like a largely fine day, only 1 or 2 showers around, some decent sunny spells to look forward to, and with that temperatures are going to be a little bit higher than today. We're looking at highs of around 24 or 25 Celsius. But as we go through into Sunday, there is going to be a band of rain sweeping its way southeastwards. Could be quite heavy and thundery as well, and then on Monday a deep area of low pressure. Storm Flores is going to bring some very windy weather.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBnews.com. A traffic incident restricts the A9 at Tor. The A40 is closed for maintenance between Gibraltar Tunnels and Mitchell-Troy, with diversions available. Leicestershire's M69 northbound between Junction 1 and the M1 has a lane shut due to a collision, causing a 20-minute delay. In North Somerset, a broken-down vehicle on the M5 southbound exit at Junction 19 is causing a lane closure. And on the trains, expect delays on cross-country between Reading and Oxford and between Eastleigh and Basingstoke, as well as on the Elizabeth line. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is 38 minutes past midday, and lots of you have been getting in touch over this issue of whether or not you would intervene in a fight. We're going to get to some of your messages, because Dawn, of course, has got into a fight before, but with a lamppost, a stationary, inanimate object.
OK, yeah, OK. Well, I mean, they just read this one out for now, right? PW, we live in an upside-down world where criminals prosper and yet we, law-abiding citizens, are taken for a ride. Absolutely nailing pretty much what everybody is saying. gbnews.com/you'll say, don't punch lampposts, though.
No, don't punch lampposts, but do get involved in the conversation.
Please.
Well, we should move on now, because a major Supreme Court ruling today could open the floodgates for billions in compensation, as millions of UK motorists may have been mis-sold car finance through hidden commission deals.
It's being called the next PPI scandal, and the industry is bracing itself for the impact. Now, we're joined now by Director and Chief Investigator of Sentinel Legal, Sam Ward. Now, Sam, good to see you, thank you. Now, I've spoken to you before about this. Just explain in baby steps, because it is quite complicated, what is going on here.
Absolutely, Dawn. Yeah, so what's actually happened over the last 3 to 4 years, there's been a series of court hearings, progressively getting bigger and bigger up until the Supreme Court, which is what we're waiting on today. And it all involves undisclosed hidden commissions. And when you go into a car dealership, you're expecting the car salesperson to earn their money from selling you the actual vehicle, but it's actually transpired that they're earning more money from selling you the finance.
Right, OK. But that's not illegal, is it?
No, it's not illegal selling you the finance, but what the Court of Appeal unanimously decided was illegal back in October 24 was the non-disclosure of these commissions, and the commissions were structured in a way so that they would get paid more commission if they increased the amount of interest you paid on your car finance policy without telling you.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound like it's not the most clean business practice in the world, but I suppose no one's making you buy the car.
No.
At any point in this transaction, you can say, I think that's too much. I'm not willing to pay that. I'm going to go, someone's offering a cheaper deal over there. I mean, isn't this the point of a market economy? We don't have courts say that's an unfair price. The fair price is what the consumer is willing to pay for that price. Some things are more expensive, some things are more cheap. And the wonderful thing about a country with a relatively free market is you get to choose.
Absolutely, and it's what the courts are calling fully informed consent. And without fully informed consent, Tom, you do not know what deal you are going into. So you could be perfectly happy with a price, but then find out that the price is only that high because 20% of it is being paid as a commission to the dealer. And this is what the Court of Appeal said, and this is what we're looking to see what the Supreme Court says about it, because once you have that fully informed consent and the client knows exactly where the commissions come from, how it was calculated and what the relationship was between the car dealer and the lender, then you can move forward.
But why does that matter? If you're happy with the price you're paying, why does it matter if someone's getting 20% commission? Because there could be a car dealership next door that is getting 15% commission and therefore can offer a cheaper price. I mean, you don't need to know how much commission every supplier in every step of the supply chain takes at every individual point. when I buy things, I don't know how much commission the person selling me the thing is taking. Frankly, I don't mind. What I mind is the amount I pay.
Sam?
Well, what we're actually arguing is that the price you're paying has been artificially inflated to cover such large commissions that the client didn't know about. And if the client did know about it, they would have been in a fully informed position to go, I know that deal doesn't actually work for me. I'm going to go and shop around. And that's the issue. They didn't have the information to make the decision.
So would that have been in the small print? I mean, you know, you get small print with everything you buy these days. So, I mean, would these details about the commission have been in the small print and it's your fault for not reading them?
Absolutely, yeah. This information would be in the back of the small print, but what it actually said was we may pay a commission. It didn't say we will, it didn't say how much, and it didn't say where they could find more information about the commission. It was just a few little words that said we may pay a commission, and that's what the Court of Appeal ruled unanimously was unfair back in October 2024.
I mean, just to be clear, if this stuff goes through and the court upholds all of this, how much is this going to hit these individual traders, these salesmen, these companies by? I mean, this is going to be a massive whack to their businesses.
Well, it's not going to hit the individual car salespeople, the dealerships. It will be the banks like Close Brothers, Santander and Lloyds, who are some of the big ones. HSBC analysts came out just a few weeks ago and said it could cost the industry $44 billion. Now, that's a combination of compensation as well as administrative costs. But the true answer, Tom, is no one knows at the minute. There's varying analyst reports out there, and we will only know today at 4:35 when the Supreme Court hands down its decision.
OK, Sam, just a couple of quick questions. How long can you go back with this one? I mean, if you brought a car, say, I don't know, 10 years ago, do you need to check your paperwork to see if you were involved?
Yeah, so we're saying that you can go back up until about 2007 when the rules actually changed. You don't need to have your paperwork to hand. You can email your lender. They will be able to provide you with the information. They'll be able to acknowledge whether you did have this commission structure on your deal, or you can use a law firm to do it for you.
So if you've brought a car, you remember the lender that gave you the purchase agreement and then go to them and see whether you could potentially make a claim under this?
Absolutely, and there's multiple ways that we can do it. You don't need to remember who your lender was. All of the law firms, the Financial Ombudsman, the Financial Conduct Authority should be able to find this information for you. You can do it for free. It's obviously easier and quicker if you use a law firm.
OK, well, Sam Ward, Director and Chief Investigator at Sentinel Legal, thanks so much for joining us.
It is quite a complicated issue, that.
It is a complicated issue.
I mean, Sam explains it really well, but I get your point as well.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, frankly, when you buy anything that you buy, do you mind who takes commission at what stage? I mean, why do you need to know the information that the person that is selling you this thing took a commission? Why do you need to know that? All you need to know is the price that you are willing to pay and what they are willing to sell it to you. And if those two things don't match, go somewhere else. Yeah, buy a different car.
In any case, you might be in for a payout. Check.
Well,
but you might be.
Yeah,
go for it.
But this is the thing. I mean, great. If some people are going to get a payout, whoop-de-doo for them. This is going to be a £44 billion hit to our banking industry. What's that going to do to interest rates? What's that going to do to the ability of banks to lend to other businesses? What's the knock-on effect there if we're going to hit the finance sector by £44 billion as a result of what one judge thinks this afternoon?
You're going to mention the phrase black hole, aren't you?
I might have to.
It's going to be another black hole. You knew that was coming. OK, right, OK. Well, what isn't black is the travel weather, because it's going to be bright and sunny and gorgeous, isn't it? Well, hopefully it's not having a storm. In any case, here's a forecast for those top European destinations.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you or anyone you know is heading further afield this weekend, it's going to be very wet in northern Italy and Slovenia. Fine elsewhere, just 1 or 2 showers for the Canaries, a brisk breeze for Madeira. That breeze actually bringing some warmth to Portugal and to parts of Spain as well. But it's for northern Italy into Slovenia, parts of Croatia. We're going to see some very wet weather over the next few days, that transferring southeast into parts of Greece early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say.
How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hey up, hey bad gum. Today is Yorkshire Day.
Yes. This year...
It did actually say that on the auto cue, I should say.
Yeah,
I
but
wasn't
you didn't have to read it out. No one forced you to read it out.
Oh, no, they did.
No.
They said they'd sack me if I didn't.
I would have paid you not to read that out.
Oh, no.
In any case, I would like to apologise if anyone in Yorkshire is upset by that accent. Please do let us know, gbnews.com/stay. But this year, these celebrations will be hosted in the town of Ilkley. Do you want to say that in the Yorkshire accent? Ilkley. Did you know Licorice All Sorts were founded by Bassett's in Sheffield?
In Sheffield? That's not a Sheffield accent.
No.
But former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak tweeted this morning to affirm his love of the countryside. And I have to say, good on him. A lot of people thought he would dash off to California within 5 minutes of the election. Yeah. But no, he's still there in his constituency in North Yorkshire.
But it is a beautiful, beautiful county. So let's go now to Anna Riley, who is in, actually, Ilkley.
Yeah. Anna, what's going on today?
Hey up! Well, it's been a fantastic day of celebrations here in Ilkley, where the official Civic Yorkshire Day has been held. It's been organised by the Yorkshire Society, and it's a meeting of the most mayors in the world, according to the Yorkshire Society. So a gathering of dignitaries. We've seen the town crier give the proclamation, and we've also sung along to On Ilkley Moor Bar Tat. It's been a fantastic day, and it's a fantastic boost for businesses as well. I'm joined by Tim Tennant. He's the owner here of the art shop. Some fantastic artwork you've got here. You're born and bred. What does Yorkshire Day mean to you, especially for the first time being held in Ilkley?
Well, for Ilkley, it's a great honour to have Yorkshire Day, to host Yorkshire Day, but it's a fantastic thing is Yorkshire Day. All these Yorkshire people coming to celebrate their Yorkshireness, and hopefully some other people who want to be Yorkshire people but aren't. And it's just fantastic, all these people coming into our town and enjoying the celebrations.
What do you think it is about us Yorkshire folks? Because we're very proud of our culture, aren't we? We've got our own sayings, we've got some beautiful scenery that we live around as well.
Oh, aye, lass, we certainly have. It's it's just a brilliant place to be, and the people in Yorkshire are so generous, should I say, despite what people may think. And it's just a fantastic county and a lovely place to live. There's lots of greenery. We've got the coast, we've got hills, we've got the dales, and it's just so nice.
And how much of a boost for business is Yorkshire Day? Because these celebrations are going on into the weekend as well.
Yeah, well, that's good as well. Obviously, people, like I said before, are coming to Ilkley for the event and the celebrations, and they all come and spend money in the shops. So it's fantastic, and the pubs and the restaurants, and it's just good for business, really. Having more people come in, it's really good.
And this shop's been in your family for generations.
It has. We're 106 years old this year, started by my grandfather in 1919. We sell art materials, we do picture framing, and we have a gallery where we exhibit local artists. So it's just, it's a very arty area, is Ilkley and the Dales and Yorkshire in general.
Thank you so much, Tim. So certainly, if you're in and around Ilkley this weekend, these celebrations are continuing for Yorkshire Day. Happy Yorkshire Day to you both.
A very happy Yorkshire Day to you too.
Oh, that's lovely. I love that. I think we should celebrate our culture.
Certainly should.
Our counties.
And no, it is remarkable. I mean, the strength of pride and feeling in Yorkshire in particular, it's got to be the strongest of just about anywhere in the country. But we'll be back with Anna each and every hour to see, to check in on how Yorkshire's doing.
Yeah, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Loads more coming up on today's show, so don't dare move a muscle. New figures show a surge in violent and sexual offenders from overseas. Oh dear, but first the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello again, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now tomorrow's looking largely fine, but on Sunday we have a band of heavy rain pushing through, and then on Monday Storm Floris is going to bring some very windy weather. But for the time being there's actually a ridge of high pressure to the southwest that's pushing its way in, and this is going to lead to today's showers fizzling out and clearing away as we go through this evening and the start of the night, leaving things largely dry and largely clear, the exception being across parts of the far east of England, East Anglia, a bit more cloud here and some showery rain pushing through as well. Elsewhere, where we get those clear skies, it is going to be a fresher night than of late. Temperatures away from the towns and cities dipping into single digits, but across parts of the east of England staying that little bit milder because of the cloud here. And there will be some further spells of showery rain as we go through tomorrow morning, particularly still across East Anglia, maybe into Kent as well. Most other places, though, having a fine start to the day. Yes, a fresher start than of late, but lots of sunshine around. Just one or two showers, perhaps. Most of us not seeing any showers. It is looking largely dry. As we go through into the afternoon, we are going to see the cloud bubbling up a little bit. So not quite so much sunshine, but nonetheless, there will be some decent sunny spells. And in the sunshine and with generally light winds, it's going to feel pretty warm. Temperatures are going to be a little bit higher than today. We're looking at highs of around 24, 25 Celsius towards the south and high teens or low 20s further north. Staying fine for many as we go through the end of the day tomorrow, but towards the northwest there is some cloud that's going to push its way in, and there's some rain ready to arrive as well. This rain is going to be pretty heavy for a time as it pushes its way southeastwards across much of the country on Sunday. It could be a bit thundery at times too, but then Storm Floris arrives on Monday. This is set to bring some unseasonably strong winds, particularly in the north.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's
It's the final week to see how you can win big, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? The holiday of a lifetime? Or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm especially glad to be joined by Mandy this morning. Mandy with me here. How are you finding the challenge so far, Mandy?
It's all right so far because it's not too hot.
Yeah, that's a tremendous relief. And you're a veteran yourself, but also a beneficiary of SAFA, Mandy.
I am, yeah. I served 12 years in the Royal Air Force. And then SAFA supported myself and my son when my husband took his own life.
Yeah, it's a tremendously sad story. Your husband, Chris, himself a veteran suffering from PTSD after a tour in Afghanistan.
Yeah, I mean, he suffered for a long time. So in 21 years, he did 15 tours. I mean, the support we got, it wasn't just life-changing, it was life-saving, which was so important at the time. And SAFA, they were strong for me, which meant that I could be strong for our son.
Yeah, and your son now, 17, he must be so proud of his father's memory and your service as well.
I think so. You know, we talk about his dad all the time, and it's very, very important that we keep his memory alive. So we're doing little things. So we've just got his name on a memorial wall at our local football club, which again is important because it shows Jamie that he'll always be remembered.
So beautiful. I think our viewers and listeners will be so touched by that. And as you're completing this march today, these 10 miles, you just saw some of the cadets behind us now. What are you thinking about as you make that march?
It's how many people come out to support the charity, which I think is so important, because without all our supporters, without our volunteers, you know, SAFA can't exist. And SAFA are there when people need them the most, and that needs to be able to continue. So without things like this and everyone supporting us, it won't.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 1 o'clock on Friday, the 1st of August. I don't know what's going on anymore. Here's Tom Harwood, and I'm Dawn Neeson.
That's right. Now, 12 months on from the nationwide riots, with fresh protests now flaring over asylum hotels, has Britain really learnt the lessons?
Well, that disorder last year was clearly a turning point. Lots of trust lost in communities up and down the country. And a year on, do people actually feel like things have got better? Do they feel like the problems that they have and the concerns they have, do they feel like they're being listened to? We're here in Aldershot finding out from residents here.
Indeed. Foreign criminals flooding UK prisons. New figures reveal a surge in violent and sexual offenders from overseas. With the prison population rising and costs nearing £600 million a year, is Britain paying the price for record immigration?
Elsewhere, a secretive Whitehall unit accused of monitoring your social media, targeting everyone who dares to criticise asylum policies or immigration.
It's certainly not about monitoring or looking at free speech and people's ability to say what they believe should or shouldn't happen in terms of immigration policy.
And protesters returned to the Bell Hotel in Epping last night, holding signs that read, "Protect our kids," vowing they wouldn't stop until the site is closed down.
And a landmark Supreme Court ruling today could spark one of Britain's biggest compensation payouts in history, as millions of drivers may have allegedly been mis-sold finance through hidden commissions. Is this the next PPI scandal?
And British patients set to receive Elon Musk's brain chip, a device that could let the paralysed control phones and other devices with their thoughts. It's already been done in America, and is this medical breakthrough or tech gone too far?
And of course, it's Yorkshire Day. Eof, Bagum. We'll be joining in with some of the festivities very shortly. I don't know about you, Dawn, but I am absolutely sick to death of politician after politician, minister after minister, right up to the Prime Minister, when they're asked questions of surveillance or free speech, answering by gaslighting the public, simply by saying, we have free speech. We're not monitoring this. When clearly we don't have the level of free speech that many countries around the world do.
You know, it's a fine line between gaslighting and blatant lies. I mean, it is. I'm sorry. It's like, that's just not true. And they keep saying... You know what I think a lot of people get really angry about is the fact they think we're idiots.
Yeah.
They treat us like, you know, if we're like mushrooms. If we're kept... You know the phrase, you know how this one goes, you're kept in the dark and fed a load of rubbish, I'm going to be polite here, then you'll be happy.
And this is the thing. It's going to get to the point where people start to say, what planet are these people living on? It's a completely different reality. I mean, we can see before our very eyes the censorship that is creeping across the internet. We can see with our very own eyes the leaks and the reports that have shown that the technology department, DCIT, was sending emails to technology companies, to social media networks, to monitor people posting about asylum issues.
Yeah,
I mean, and then you have the minister to have the temerity to say, no, we're not doing that.
No.
It's there in black and white.
Yeah, free speech. In any case, gbnews.com/your say. Let me know what you think, or let us know what you think. It's not all about Tom ranting, although if you give him the opportunity, he will do so, and he'll even do it in a Yorkshire accent if you're really
very
unlucky.
lucky. Yeah.
Unlucky, Tom, was the word you're looking for. Unlucky.
No,
okay.
very lucky.
No, unlucky. In any case, shall we get the news headlines? I think it's Lewis Mackenzie. Save our sanity, Lewis.
Tom, Dawn, thank you very much. Good afternoon. It's just after 1 o'clock. Here are your latest GB News headlines. It's been revealed that foreign-born prisoners account for 1 in 8 of the total UK jail population. According to official data published for the first time, the number of foreigners in prisons for serious violent, sexual and theft offences have also risen over the past year. Conservative MP Katie Lamb told GB News they should all be removed from the country.
They all need to be deported. So the Conservatives actually in Parliament tried to amend the law, the Borders Bill that the government passed earlier this year, to say that everybody who commits a crime will need to leave the country. And I and my Shadow Home Office colleagues tabled those amendments and voted for them. The government voted them down, but there is absolutely no reason to have foreign criminals in the UK.
Reports suggest a Whitehall spy unit has been used by the government to target social media posts criticising migrant hotels and two-tier policing. The Telegraph newspaper claims officials working for Technology Secretary Peter Kyle have flagged videos with, quote, concerning narratives to social media giants, including TikTok, warning that they were exacerbating tensions on the streets. Home Office Minister Dame Diana Johnson told GB News Breakfast that free speech is a cornerstone of our democracy and the Online Safety Act protects it.
No, we're not having our free speech monitored at all. And it's absolutely right that people can express their views within the law on social media. What I would say is that the police, and particularly last autumn when we had the disorder in August actually, it was absolutely right that the police should be looking and monitoring what was being put onto social media in terms of organisation of riots and have that information to allow them then to plan what they needed to provide in terms of protecting the public.
10 men have been arrested over historic child sexual abuse offences. The individuals were arrested in addresses in Bradford. The 10 men, aged between 49 and 71, have been interviewed and bailed pending further inquiries. The allegations relate to offences which are reported to have occurred in the district between 1994 and 1997 and relate to 6 victims who were aged 13 to 15 at the time. The US has announced fresh tariffs on more than 90 countries as Donald Trump's deadline to strike trade deals passes. Tariffs on Canada are set to increase from 25% to 35%. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says that he's very disappointed. And south of the border, higher tariffs for Mexico are being paused for another 90 days, while Brazil faces 50% levies. Tariffs for the UK remain at 10%. Jeremy Clarkson has revealed parts of his farm will shut for 2 months due to a bovine TB outbreak. In a social media post on X, the former Top Gear host said everyone at Diddley Squat Farm was absolutely devastated. He later wrote that the infected cow was pregnant with twins. Cattle that fail a TB test or animals that have inconclusive results for 2 consecutive tests must be isolated, then sent to slaughter. Clarkson has clarified that the farm is still operational, but they cannot buy or sell any cows. Well, those are your latest GB News headlines for now. Finance next.
My Claim Group sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
And here's a quick snapshot of today's markets. The pound will buy you $1.3167 and €1.1538. The price of gold is at £2,506 and 32 pence per ounce, and the FTSE 100's at 9,070 points.
My Claim Group sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 8 minutes past 1. Now, 12 months ago, Britain was in turmoil. Burning streets, broken trust. The 2024 riots marked a turning point, not just in politics, but in the lives of ordinary people too.
Today, we return to the heart of our communities to see what exactly, if anything, has changed. GB News reporter Jack Carson joins us live from Aldershot. Jack, what's happening there today?
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, thank you very much both to you. This time last year, a demonstration of 200 people broke out into disorder. There were multiple people charged, sentenced, including a 13-year-old girl pleading guilty in the aftermath of those events. And a year on, we've been speaking to people here to really find out, actually, do they feel represented? Do they feel like the issues that are important to them are not only represented and felt by politicians, but are things actually changing? Some of the issues that we've heard today on the street include things like housing, locally, antisocial behaviour, but also those concerns around the high street. I mean, you can see this shop here, graffiti on the side of it. This is for sale as well. And if we just come up here and follow me down here to this street here, you got another shop here which is closed and whitewashed into the windows and not open. And so plenty of shops as well with the shutters down. These are some of the just the basic concerns that people have, and of course those impact not only the local economy but also jobs in the area, employment, and then as you can see where then the issues stem from, and actually then where that frustration stems from. And a lot of people feel like the disorder that we saw last year, particularly here in Aldershot, stemmed from frustration of so many different issues. And of course the violent disorder breaking out, just an example of what can happen when that topples and people feel like they're not being listened to at all. We've spoken to a few people on this high street today. Take a listen to what they told us. It's important to you?
More infrastructure, more shops, more people coming in, investing into Aldershot instead of taking it all out all the time.
All these people coming in, no, people are really getting very frustrated and angry about it. I am.
Can you see the frustrations that people had and why maybe they came out and protested and demonstrated, and how that then turned into disorder?
Yes, and they weren't far right. There were people just very, very concerned for their families and for what we know is the country we felt safe in. I mean, you can see it almost being taken over, if you like, by a strong faction because with a very loud voice. And It's going to be a religious thing, isn't it? That scares people.
And do you feel like the people in power, whether that's council, government, do you feel like they're doing enough? Do you feel like actually your concerns you've just told us about there, do you feel like you're being listened to, represented?
No, not at all.
I don't trust the Labour government.
No,
Sorry,
no,
I don't.
no, not at all.
They've proved themselves not trustworthy.
I mean, to be fair, you've got to give them a chance. They've only been in since July, I mean, or whatever it was.
Indeed.
So you can see there that level of frustration. Now, some people very happy, you know, as you heard that last gentleman, to feel like it's only been a year, give the government a chance, but others really seem like they are running out of patience, and they feel like the issues that they are concerned about, whether that is antisocial behaviour, whether that is shops on the high street, that they are not, for them, difficult issues to fix. There are the wider issues that people have been telling us about. You heard the concerns from that lady there around immigration and local migrant hotels, and then the situation with people here locally not being able to get their own housing. They are still concerns which run deep in areas like this. So one lady, in terms of the frustration levels a year ago when we saw that disorder to now, she believes the frustration is only getting bigger. And here in Aldershot, people still concerned for the future.
OK, well, Jack Carson, thanks indeed for bringing us that report live from Aldershot. Let's get some more reaction in the studio. Delighted to be joined by our Home and Security Editor, Mark White, and Political Editor, Chris Hope. Mark, we're going to start with you. The government, no doubt, will have thought that last summer was a one-off. I mean, really serious violence in a lot of places. We haven't yet seen that this summer, but so many places must feel like a tinderbox.
Yeah, I think they'd be very misguided to believe that last summer was just a one-off. It was very clear to anyone, and it must have been clear to those in government, that there were tensions running high in communities right across the country. I remember actually on the 1st of August last year in Downing Street in a news conference given by the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, when he stood up. And he raised the spectre, this bogeyman, the far right, and said it was the far right travelling on trains to orchestrate and stir up the violence, and that he was giving special powers to the authorities to intercept and deal with the far right on the trains. Well, in the subsequent 500+ court cases that went before the courts, I saw no evidence of any far right group travelling by train or any other mode of transport up to local areas to cause this level of disorder. Actually, those that were carrying out disorder tended, by and large, for the vast majority, to have come from the local area that the disorder had broken out in. But then you got after that point, the government did appear to be in a place where it was willing to engage in talk about the very real concerns and tensions that communities have about uncontrolled mass migration, and in particular illegal migration, such as the boats across the Channel. But where are we now? We find ourselves a year on with multiple protests that have broken out outside hotels. And remember, protests that have broken out because of incidents linked to migrants at these hotels. Yeah. And again, you've got senior politicians standing up and saying, it's the far right orchestrating this. To me, it just doesn't seem like the lessons have been learned. We've gone full circle again, and the same bogeyman, the far right, is being used again as, you know, what the government would describe as the instigator of any of the tensions we're seeing.
Christopher, we're hearing from across the country, we're hearing from Sunderland, from Aldershot today. We've seen protests in Epping, down in Hampshire, in Norfolk. All over the country, people are unhappy. They feel they're not being listened to. That's the thing we hear time and time again on GB News. Why aren't the government listening?
Yeah, listen to or being patronised, I think.
Yes.
We heard, didn't we, in the last hour from Andrea Bell up in Sunderland to Martin Daubney, the lack of communication drives the concern. They don't know where these migrant hotels will be opened up. We saw concerns recently in Canary Wharf for that Britannia hotel. The Epping hotel was closed by the Tories, then reopened. There's no consultation, so people feel they've got to take matters into their own hands and protest, and that's why you're seeing these issues flare up. And, of course, it's very important to keep them calm, but equally that concern is real, and it's not, as Mark says eloquently, it's not a far-right issue to be worried about immigration. But looking at the reporting today, we're hearing today, aren't we, in the Telegraph, how this Cabinet Office unit, the National Security and Online Information Team, previously known as the Counter Disinformation Unit. In the old days, frankly, it was called what it is. They've changed the name to disguise that, it looks to me like. These civil servants are going to TikTok, going to social media and saying, look what's happening here, take it down, it could be a concern for safety. Why on earth is the government doing that? It's a very...
And these
it's a fine line, though, Tom.
To be clear, these posts aren't saying, this is how you create a Molotov cocktail, this is how you burn a... These are posts just being concerned about asylum hotels, immigration, frankly, criticising government policy.
Yeah, I mean, and Big Brother Watch, this campaign group, been around for 20 years, says legitimate concerns about racism and violence must not become a blank cheque for the monitoring and the censorship of controversial speech, absent of any oversight or scrutiny. It's a lack of scrutiny, the concerns the government is stepping in. It's taking, foreign politicians to step up on this, really. Jim Jordan, who's the chair of the House's Judiciary Committee on the Hill in Washington, he's saying that he's concerned about this. He says that mean tweets get you a longer prison term in Britain than many violent offences. That's what's wrong. That's why Lucy Connolly cut through, as you said there, about a 13-year-old girl was using one of the reporting there by Jack. Why is it happening? Why does the government feel they can behave like this?
Now, of course, you've been speaking to the Shadow Home Secretary on all sorts of issues in your podcast this week. What was your main takeaway?
Yeah, a lot of issues with Chris Philp, who's the Shadow Home Secretary. One area that I was interested in was he and others are now filming themselves take on antisocial behaviour, maybe some alleged criminality. Robert Jenrick watching people walk through barriers at tube stations. Chris Philp went up to a homeless encampment and asked why they're all there. And it seems that once this happens, the authorities step in behind them the following day. You've been campaigning, I think, against graffiti on London Underground. But he says, Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, that others should follow the example when it's safe to do so. Here's what he told Chopper's Political Podcast.
I think people should be calling out wrongdoing, actually. I mean, it's up to them to decide whether they feel it's safe, and that's for each person to make a judgment. But I think it's reasonable for the public to call out and expose criminality where it occurs.
That's Chris Philp there. And in fact, as Mark White, our colleague at GBNews, has been saying, that encampment that he went to see in Park Lane was then cleared away shortly after. So sadly, it does get a reaction. Now, of course, he's saying only do it if you feel safe, look after your own safety. But it seems that if you highlight things on social media, action is taken.
But also where the state steps back, I suppose it's inevitable that people will step forward to do that.
And also the concern might be, has the state got your back? So you can feel as though I'm stopping something happening, some antisocial behaviour, but will the state support you in that or not? No. That's what isn't clear.
No, big questions
there. Well, people don't feel that.
Chris Hope, Mark White, we'll see you again very shortly indeed, but for now, thank you.
Yeah, OK. Now, the Prime Minister is set to meet with Sadiq Khan over plans for a third runway at Heathrow Airport.
Yeah, big political battle brewing between the Prime Minister and Mayor of London. Of course, the London Mayor opposes this expansion. He claims it's all going to be terrible for the climate.
Joining us now is Policy Director at the Heathrow Association for the Control of Aircraft Noise, Paul Beckford. Paul, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. Paul, I feel like I've been discussing the third runway at Heathrow Airport since literally God was a boy. What's different today about this situation?
Well, nothing really, other than we've got more than one proposal potentially, which just adds further uncertainty to the process, really. It's not just Heathrow now. You've got another group, the Aurora Group, who own a number of the hotels around Heathrow that seek to also build a third runway. But you're right, it's been going a long time. We've got members that have campaigned for this for 25, 30 years. And this uncertainty just adds to their frustration. And the Damocles sword kind of hanging over their heads. We're going to lose maybe up to 1,000 homes, be destroyed, maybe another 4,500 rendered uninhabitable. The risk that you're exposing climate, I think the Mayor's really strong on, but also the impact around air pollution and noise is going to increase the negative health effects for hundreds of thousands of London.
We've heard these arguments for 30 years. I mean, there have been plans to expand Heathrow since before I was born, and yet we've had this sort of absolute stasis in this country where politicians argue with one another. We've got another argument between the Prime Minister and the Mayor of London today. In the meantime, since since we haven't expanded any of these London airports for 30 years, since our population has grown by more than 10 million in that time, we've been at a standstill here, absolutely creaking. Anyone who's tried to go to an airport this summer will have known that, will have seen the queues, would have seen the delays. I mean, it is absolutely hopeless. How can we possibly pretend to be a nation that cares about economic growth when we're limiting our main airport to 2 runways? Charles de Gaulle in Paris has 4, Amsterdam Schiphol has 6, and we're hobbling Heathrow with a puny, with a absolutely pathetic 2.
Well, there's quite a number of things there. Charles de Gaulle was relocated. They shut it down and moved it. So that's, I believe a previous mayor of London tried that and it didn't prove to be the popular choice or the one that government backed at the time. You also have to disassociate the claims of economic growth with increased connectivity. The head of the OBR, giving evidence to Treasury Select Committee at the back end of last year, said when you've already got a very highly connected piece of national infrastructure, as Heathrow is, adding little bits more of capacity give you minimal return in terms of economic growth. Different if you build something brand new from scratch, that would give you a big jump, but you're not going to get that from Heathrow. And an interesting thing we've seen is that it was always touted as this is the business hub, this is how business wants to get around the world, but actually transfer traffic and business traffic is reducing at Heathrow. So its hub status
is reducing at Heathrow because Heathrow's absolutely clogged up, because it's the busiest airport in the world and becoming one of the most expensive airports in the world to do business from because there's no capacity.
And if you expand it, it will only become more expensive in Heathrow's current business
No, it will
plan.
become cheaper because competition will be introduced.
No, on their current business plan, they're proposing to spend £10 billion. £2 billion of that will be capital investment from shareholders. The rest will be borrowed, which will be financed through you and I or the travelling public. It'll go onto the airlines, they'll pass it on to customers.
That doesn't make any sense at all, because you can auction the lift-off slots. You can auction out those slots that'll be added. You get a 50% extra capacity in the number of planes that can take off. You sell those slots to the airline companies. That raises the money.
It doesn't necessarily translate into cheaper fares for the travelling public. Where you see airports expanding around the world, that is the point. And to finish my previous point, aviation is a globally competitive business. You have seen traffic transfer from the traditional sort of North America, Europe to the Middle East, Far East. That's just the reality of being in a global economy. So those things are happening anyway. And actually the point around, getting to airports is a really key one. The infrastructure can't support those airports at the moment in terms of public transport and roads. And if we expand, that problem's only going to become worse. We need to put that investment in place.
Paul, according to this report, they're going to shut down the M25 for a little bit, and that won't cause any problems whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm sure they can do that at one of the busiest junctions. I think 200,000 motorists a day use that bit of the road. So, yeah.
Well, add capacity to it. The whole thing is...
I'm sorry, but I think the only thing that's ever going to land at the third runway at Heathrow will be the flying pigs. It's just not going to happen. Paul Beckford, thank you very much for joining us today. I'm sorry, it's just going to... We have been talking about it non-stop.
We have, but it's just so pathetic as a country that we can't build these things.
The government can't even agree on this. You've got Keir Starmer and Sadiq Khan going head-to-head. Ed Miliband's in there somewhere. I mean, it's just like the Labour government are in turmoil, like the Conservative government were in turmoil beforehand.
A decision should have been made on this 30 years ago, and it should have been, yes, obviously a runway is needed. Other countries around the world are doing this. Heathrow's hub status is being stolen from it by countries on the continent. I mean, it's just so obvious that this needs to be built. It's so plainly obvious.
Yeah, any case, but you're not in charge of the decision. If
Sadly
you want to have a word with the powers that be, that'll be it. Any case, if you want a bit of light relief, and I don't blame you, it's your chance to win £54,321. It's our biggest cash giveaway to date. Lines close at 4 o'clock today, so you haven't got long, better get a wriggle on. And here's all the details you need.
There's only a few hours left now to see how you can win big. £54,321 in tax-free cash is up for grabs in our summer Great British giveaway. Cash to spend on anything you like. All of that cash could send you on a holiday, boost your savings, or just send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing. Lines close at 4 p.m. today, so get your entry in now. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, you say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 1:30.
I'm just going to read a message out because lots of you are getting in touch about the airports, really. And Martin says China have built over 50 airports with more than 2 runways during the time arguments for Heathrow have started. Now, I haven't fact-checked that, but it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest, to be honest with you.
It's not just China. I mean, China builds a lot, right? China's built thousands of miles of high-speed railway while we've been arguing about a railway that won't quite go between
power
Birmingham
stations, lots of those.
But here's the thing. You don't even need to look to the growth economies of the world. Countries like Germany has just built a massive new airport outside Berlin.
Yep.
Poland is building a massive new hub airport. Spain has built, I think, 12 runways in the time since we built our last one, which was Manchester's second runway in 2001. I mean, even in our local neighbourhood of our neighbouring countries, they've been building runway after runway after runway, while we've been sitting on our hands and arguing about the newts and the climate.
We can't even build a road, can we? But don't get you started on HS2. No. I'm not going to go there, people. It's all right, you can relax. OK, we're moving on. Please.
Isambard Kingdom Brunel is currently spinning so quickly in his grave, you could power... You wouldn't need any wind farms. You could just power it from the perpetual motion machine of all the long-gone Victorian industrialists.
And if we wanted any hot air...
Hey,
we've got Tom here
good.
for it. Any case, Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick says mass migration is putting British women and girls in danger.
Yes, new data shows that 40% of sexual assaults committed in London last year were by foreign nationals. Now, these foreign nationals account for just 1 in 8 of the total population, massively disproportionate there. So is it right that foreign offenders are taking up prison places?
OK, we're joined by Reform Councillor for Essex, Jamie McIver. Thank you very much, Jamie, for coming in. OK, what do you make of this statistic?
Well, first of all, congratulations, GB on your amazing figures from July.
Oh, thank you very much.
Congratulations.
It's all down to us.
You are Britain's
Just all
news
down to
channel.
us.
I'm sure it's down to you too. But no, it is wrong, isn't it? It is wrong that the taxpayer is having to foot the bill, firstly, for all these hotels, but then the fact that there are people that are coming to this country who should be coming to contribute. Remember when we hear Labour say, you know, they're contributing, they're bringing their families, they're enhancing our society. They're ending up in prison. And they're ending up in prison because they're committing, in many cases, some horrific crimes, like horrendous crimes. We're not talking a bit of shoplifting. We're talking some very serious crimes where people's lives are changed, maybe forever. And we are not only paying for them to be there, they're still in our country. They need to go.
This is the crazy thing, isn't it? When someone's born in this country, you're kind of lumped with them. That's you know, they might be law-abiding, they might be the next billionaire, whatever. They're yours. They're your problem, or your success story. When it's someone choosing to come to your country, surely you can be able to be exercising discretion there. You can say, I want the brightest and the best from around the world, and not the kind of people who are temperamentally predisposed towards violence. And yet, that very selection of people, the people that we should have the greater selection over, are somehow overrepresented in the crime statistics. I mean, surely it should be completely the other way round.
Well, and also, I think what it proves is actually that, you know, not all immigration to a country is good. You know, there is some bad immigration. This is a great example of it. People that come to this country and then break the law and then end up in prison shouldn't have the right to be in this country. You know, that's certainly my view. And you're absolutely right. Every society has to have some sort of law and order and prisons, and that's designed for your own. We've had it for decades. In fact, I think Britain, you know, is leading in terms of, you know, crimes and courts and law. And so it's right that we have that. But why should people get up in the morning, go to work, pay their taxes, and that money be spent on people who have come to the country, and in some cases come to the country illegally, to then be sitting in prison, 3 meals a day, whilst we have homeless veterans who have to beg people for a sandwich outside Boots in London? You know, we see this. This is real life. And I think there's this stark unfairness. But I think that ultimately the government can and should be getting a grip on this. The previous government didn't. This current government can, and actually it would be very much in their interest to do so.
OK, I'm going to play slightly devil's advocate on this one, because this is talking about... You're instantly alluding to the fact that these people are coming over on the boats, therefore illegal migrants. The report doesn't say that. It just says foreign-born nationals. Now, these are people that could have happened to be born in America or Germany. Their parents come over here, bring them over as a baby. No, but this is the fact...
How likely is it that they're going to come from a country like...
It doesn't matter, but these are the facts of this story, and I think it is important we stick to the facts.
Sure,
We are not talking about all people coming over on the boats. We're talking about foreign-born people. So there's a vast amount of people that could be involved in this. So we do need to get that factually right. And the bottom line is, OK, what are Reform going to do about it?
Well, I think, first of all, in answer to your point, it doesn't matter what country they've come from. You know, it really doesn't matter. If they come to this country and they commit an offence and they're not our problem, then that problem should be passed to their country, their home country.
Okay,
I do believe that. But what would Reform do? I think it's very obvious. I think, first of all, we'll have an immigration system that is controlled. We'll get the brightest and the best, and I don't think the brightest and the best naturally turn into criminals. So I think that's the first thing, actually having control of our borders. But secondly, what will Reform do? We've made it very, very clear. We do not want foreign people in our prisons. Yeah, that's something that British people don't want.
Is there a risk here? If you were someone that comes from a country that doesn't have a strong system of law and order, of crime and justice, and you commit a murder in the United Kingdom and you get deported, I mean, you might be out of prison, you might not even go to prison in your previous country. Is there a risk that these people don't get punished. They just get deported to a different country and actually they're out and about walking free. The only way you can guarantee there's a punishment for some crime is to have that punishment in this country.
Well, I think ultimately the British government's, the state's responsibility is to keep its own citizens safe. And of course, if it's a choice between somebody being in prison because they're a danger to the public, which is ultimately what prisons are designed for, partly punishment, partly keeping people safe. That's why I have life sentences, these people that should never be free to walk the streets again. But it is not our responsibility to police the safety of people that live in other countries. That is for those governments to do, and those governments need to up their game. And actually, isn't that the whole point of the Foreign Office, to have diplomacy, to share best practice? We shouldn't just accept there are some countries that have such broken legal systems. But why should the British people have to foot the bill for a foreign offender who's committed some atrocious crimes?
Jamie, we are running out of time, unfortunately. I mean, what would you do with the people that we can't deport? We've got a long list of countries we don't have deportation agreements with, including one of the worst cases of criminals in this country that foreign is Afghanistan. We can't deport people back there for a start. And also, how are reform going to get around the laws? The ECHR. So we're running out of time, so I've got a brief answer.
Deal with the ECHR, we're getting out of it. I think that's the first thing. And your first point, what do you do with countries that you can't send people back to? That's the whole point of having these third countries that have been involved. That's what the Rwanda plan,
so you would send criminals to somewhere like
I'm not going to announce that policy. It's not my policy to announce. But what I would say,
we don't want El Salvador.
Well, we've seen exactly what Donald Trump is doing and making a success of it, and I'm pretty sure Reform have similar ideas.
Well, Jamie McIver, thanks indeed for joining us. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more to come, including brain chips. Yes, not the kind that you eat, the kind that might, well, send little feelers down inside your brain to allow the paralysed to control computers with their thoughts. Does it all sound like science fiction? Well, it's happening, and it could be coming to Britain. That's after your news headlines.
Good afternoon. The headlines from the GB newsroom. It's been revealed foreign-born prisoners account for 1 in 8 of the total UK jail population. Conservative MP Katie Lamb told GB News they should all be removed from the country.
They all need to be deported. There is absolutely no reason to have foreign criminals in the UK.
Reports suggest a Whitehall spy unit is being used by the government to target social media posts criticising migrant hotels and two-tier policing. 10 men have been arrested over historic child sexual abuse offences in Bradford. The 10 men, aged between 49 and 71, have been interviewed and bailed pending further inquiries. The US has announced fresh tariffs on more than 90 countries as Donald Trump's deadline to strike trade deals passes. Tariffs in the UK remain at 10%. Those are your headlines for now. More from me in half an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello, very good day to you. This is your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, Storm Flores has just been named and it's going to bring some very wet and very windy weather, particularly to northern parts on Monday, but starting off going through the rest of today. And there are some showers around, particularly across central and more so eastern parts. And here it could be quite blustery too, but there will be some sunny breaks in between the showers. Fair good deal amount of sunshine across some western parts. And in that sunshine, it's going to feel pretty warm. Temperatures not quite as high as they have been recently, but nonetheless still just about getting into the high teens or low 20s for quite a few places. Then as we go through into this evening, still a scattering of showers, particularly across central and eastern parts. The odd heavy one is possible. Further west, a greater chance of avoiding the showers. Across Northern Ireland, only 1 or 2 showers perhaps here. Across parts of northern England, central, eastern Scotland, a fair few showers for a little while yet, but as we go overnight, most of the showers are going to fizzle out. They're going to die out and clear away, and so it is going to turn largely dry with clear skies, the exception being across parts of the far east of England, East Anglia for example, a swathe of showery rain likely to push in as we go through the early hours of tomorrow. Elsewhere, under those clear skies then, it is going to be a bit of a fresh night, a little bit chillier than some recent nights, with temperatures away from the towns and cities quite widely, just about dipping into single digits. Then through tomorrow, yes, a bit more cloud and some showery rain across the far east, southeast of England early on, but otherwise it's looking like a largely fine day. Only 1 or 2 showers around, some decent sunny spells to look forward to, and with that, temperatures are going to be a little bit higher than today. We're looking at highs of around 24 or 25 Celsius. But as we go through into Sunday, there is going to be a band of rain sweeping its way southeastwards. Could be quite heavy and thundery as well. And then on Monday, a deep area of low pressure, Storm Floris, is going to bring some very windy weather.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The A82 is closed between Crianlarich and Tindrum due to a road traffic incident. Road users should follow the diversion route and allocate extra journey time. Carriageway maintenance has closed the A40 from Gibraltar Tunnels to Mitchell-Troy, with diversions assisting traffic flow. In Rotherham, the M1 northbound is congested between junction 29A and 31, causing significant delays. In Kent, an A2 eastbound accident involving an overturned vehicle results in closures. And on the trains, cross-country services are disrupted between Eastleigh and Basingstoke. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Hello, welcome back to Good Afternoon Britain. Now, British patients are set to get Elon Musk's Neuralink brain chip implants. This comes in a groundbreaking attempt to allow paralysed people to control a smartphone or computer with their thoughts.
Simply just by thinking. Now, to put that a bit more concretely, I'm about to play a video of our first user. His name is Noland, if you remember from DJ Section. And what Noland is doing is he's looking at a normal off-the-shelf MacBook Pro. And with his Neuralink device, as you're going to see, he's going to be able to control the cursor simply with his mind, no eye tracking, no other sensors. And what's special about this particular moment is this is the first time someone is using a Neuralink device to fully control their cursor.
This is just incredible stuff. I mean, that was a clip of a sort of 2-hour presentation that Elon Musk was at a month or so ago. They got these people completely paraplegic playing video games just by imagining running forwards and shooting people. They were doing that in video games. It's incredible.
Clinical studies are set to launch in the UK with University College London hospitals and Newcastle getting the green light from UK medical regulators. Joining us now to explain this, because I really don't know what I'm talking about, is GB News Science and Health Editor Lucy Johnson. Lucy, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Now, Tom has got a grasp of this. I'm feeling quite... You have got a grasp, but I'm actually feeling quite worried about this. It sounds amazing, but I'm also a little bit scared.
Well, perhaps there are other people that are scared, but essentially this trial, so it's a trial in 7 people at Newcastle and University College hospitals, will just look at this device in paralysed people. So essentially, it's a new device that will allow paralysed people to control a computer or tablet with their thoughts. It's about the chip, it's a chip about the size of a 10p, has tiny hairs, like 100 tiny threads, really, that smaller than a hair, that are attached to about 1,000 electrodes in the brain. And that operation is done only by robots. It's a very potentially risky operation, but for those people, their lives are so awful. If you're quadriplegic or paralysed, these people are desperate. And this allows them to, the device will record and interpret their brain thoughts and then transmit this wirelessly to a smartphone or a computer or a tablet so that they can play games, they can control a device or do otherwise. So there's been decades of research into this. In fact, Mr. Musk was accused of violating animal welfare laws, and there was a bit of a furore about that with monkeys and pigs. But this is human trials, and as we've seen in the earlier clip, there is a case of someone in Arizona who has successfully had this implant. So it's very exciting that Mr. Musk is also talking about the future of this technology. So this is where people are starting to get uneasy. He wants to have chips implanted in many people's brains and boost their IQ or record their memories, and many people are sort of calling for regulation around this. We're miles off it. We're not there yet, but the idea of having our memories on a server that is controlled by Elon Musk doesn't sit well with many people. So there is a reason to be cautious. But for these paralyzed, these unfortunate in these awful cases, it is a paradigm shift, and we're on the cusp of a revolution, I think, for these people.
It is amazing how much this has come forward in just the last couple of years, because it's now people that were only able to communicate by, blinking in some cases, can now have conversations. I mean, it's incredible. The world is opening up. And with robotics advancing as it is, I mean, you can imagine that these people are sort of going to be able to have, robotic limbs or whatever else it is. This is the start. We're sort of on those foothills of what is an incredible sort of moment of technological innovation. But I suppose the question is, when might we see widespread adoption of this rather than just clinical trials?
Well, the trials will be 6 years long. The patients will be monitored. Actually, the person that you showed the clip from earlier, he had a few problems with his device, and software updates allowed him to keep using it. So I think it's very early stages, today, but I think it will be years yet. But once that technology starts rolling, I think you're right that it won't just be tablets or smartphones that we're able to control. Who knows what the limits are? It could be that people have a robotic arm that they can use. It's important to mention that this is not just Musk. There are many other researchers in the field who are doing similar work, and I think it's crucial that regulators are on it so that we don't need to have those fears and worries about brains being tampered with or these devices being hacked, or who knows what the limits are. But I think the trials are 6 years, so I think we are just years off really of this. There's a paradigm shift really for we're on the cusp of a revolution for people with paralysis, and also Musk is talking about using these devices to allow people to see and hear again, because our brain is made up of trillions of tiny neurons that control all our thoughts and actions and everything. So this is just the beginning.
Wow. Lucy, thank you so much. You've explained it incredibly well. That GB News Science and Health Editor Lucy Johnston.
There's moments like that where you think, actually, maybe we are living in the future. Yes, we don't have our flying cars yet.
No.
But if paralysed people will be able to walk again, if blind people will be able to see again.
It really is fantastic. But I'm just, I just so am nervous about technology and hacking and it being taken over by bad faith actors and all of that. It just makes me nervous. But, I mean, it's a great thing for people that, could overcome paralysis and things like that. It's an amazing development. But, I get the feeling I've seen that movie before.
Well, we'll have to see. In 6 years' time, we could all have our brain implants.
Would you have a brain implant?
If I was a paraplegic, I'd 100% no question asked. But as things stand now, no.
No.
I don't see what it would do for me that I can't do already. But if I lost a limb, yes.
Wow.
But perhaps you'd like to engage in risky activity, whether that's sort of, water surfing, maybe risking losing a limb. I'm trying to find a way to say that we should look at the travel weather.
Just let's go to the weather, shall we? It's here. Here it is.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you or anyone you know is heading further afield this weekend, it's going to be very wet in northern Italy and Slovenia. Fine elsewhere, just 1 or 2 showers for the Canaries, a brisk breeze for Madeira. That breeze actually bringing some warmth to Portugal and to parts of Spain as well. But it's for northern Italy into Slovenia, parts of Croatia. We're going to see some very wet weather over the next few days, that transferring southeast into parts of Greece early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday from 8 p.m.
I thought you'd set up a new version of Pimlico Plumbers in London.
Yeah, my family have set up a company called We Fix London, but we started planning that, 2 years before Labour got in. If I'd known Labour was getting in, we wouldn't have planned it. So obviously we've got to comply with the tax regulations, but anybody with any sense would agree with what I'm saying. The taxes are too high in the UK for wealthy people. Wealthy people can go and work anywhere in the world and be financially a lot better off.
And we had a non-dom regime that was basically stable for 200 years. It's only recently that it's been changed. And we're changing it and making it harder, just as other countries are making it easier. So you can go to Italy and you can negotiate an amount that you will pay. Portugal's been welcoming people. Malta's been welcoming people. All over the world, countries are saying, please come and bring your money. And the UK is saying, we're going to take all your money. We don't want you anymore.
That's right. Look, they're all encouraging sort of UK business people to come there, and it's working. If you become a tax exile in Italy, you pay 200 grand for the year. You don't have to pay no more. But the real problem is we're wasting their money, and they should be encouraging entrepreneurs to be staying. I think our biggest export at the moment is wealthy people.
So you're a businessman, you know how to do things and make a profit. If you're advising the Chancellor on how to get the money the country needs to pay for the public services, what would you be saying? Because at the moment, the tax revenues don't meet our expenditure. There is a gap. Something needs to give.
Resign.
All right, but that's not the answer.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back. A major Supreme Court ruling today could open the floodgates for billions in compensation, as millions of UK motorists may have been missold car finance through hidden commission. Let's talk to you now Elizabeth Comley, the Chief Operating Officer of Slater and Gordon, with the details of this. Elizabeth, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Just explain very briefly, because we are short of time, unfortunately, what this afternoon is about and what we're expecting to hear.
Sure. So essentially, this is about the fact that between 2007 and 2021, millions of people were overcharged on car finance without being told about it. Lenders often used hidden commission models that pushed up the cost for consumers without their knowledge. So what's being decided at court later? To be clear, there are two types of commission. You've got your discretionary commission, where brokers could increase the amount of interest they charged people in order to earn more commission from the lender. And we think that applies to about 40% of all car finance deals. And that's the one where the FCA have said they're already likely to propose a redress scheme. But then we've got fixed commissions, and that's what the Supreme Court really focused on later. So this is about whether it was unlawful for brokers to earn commission at all without fully informing customers. And if they decide it was, then that would take the number of affected car finance agreements up to 99%. So it's a really, really big deal.
Wow. How likely is it that that's going to be the case?
Well, that is the question of the day. It is impossible to predict. There's a lot of speculation. You know, we're obviously hoping that all fixed commissions that people weren't aware of are ruled as unlawful. That would be the right thing in our mind. But we might see some sort of halfway house, you know, that means part secret commissions. So where it was buried in the terms and conditions, even though the consumer was unaware of it, you know, are allowed. But we'll have to wait and see.
That's always the question, isn't it? Shouldn't you read your terms and conditions before you buy something? Well, Elizabeth Comley,
yes,
thanks so
indeed.
much for joining us. I'm afraid we have run to time, but Chief Operating Officer at Slater & Gordon, thanks for joining us.
This is Good Afternoon Britain. Don't go too far. Here's the weather. We'll see you soon.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello again, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now tomorrow's looking largely fine, but on Sunday we have a band of heavy rain pushing through, and then on Monday Storm Floris is going to bring some very windy weather. But for the time being there's actually a ridge of high pressure to the southwest that's pushing its way in, and this is going to lead to today's showers fizzling out and clearing away as we go through this evening and the start of the night, leaving things largely dry and largely clear, the exception being across parts of the far east of England, East Anglia, a bit more cloud here and some showery rain pushing through as well. Elsewhere, where we get those clear skies, it is going to be a fresher night than of late. Temperatures away from the towns and cities dipping into single digits, but across parts of the east of England staying that little bit milder because of the cloud here. And there will be some further spells of showery rain as we go through tomorrow morning, particularly still across East Anglia, maybe into Kent as well. Most other places, though, having a fine start to the day. Yes, a fresher start than of late, but lots of sunshine around. Just one or two showers perhaps. Most of us not seeing any showers. It is looking largely dry. As we go through into the afternoon, we are going to see the cloud bubbling up a little bit. So not quite so much sunshine, but nonetheless there will be some decent sunny spells. And in the sunshine and with generally light winds, it's going to feel pretty warm. Temperatures are going to be a little bit higher than today. We're looking at highs of around 24, 25 Celsius towards the south and high teens or low 20s further north. Staying fine for many as we go through the end of the day tomorrow, but towards the northwest there is some cloud that's going to push its way in, and there's some rain ready to arrive as well. This rain is going to be pretty heavy for a time as it pushes its way southeastwards across much of the country on Sunday. It could be a bit thundery at times too, but then Storm Floris arrives on Monday. This is set to bring some unseasonably strong winds, particularly in the north.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can win big, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? The holiday of a lifetime? Or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device, and as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
I've lost what we're going.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 2 o'clock on Friday, the 31st of August. Or is it? No, it's the 1st of August. Yesterday was the 31st of July. Today
It's the
31st
of August.
Is the 1st.
I have no idea what day it is, to be honest with you.
To be fair, you did think it was Monday earlier.
I did think
which
it was
is
Monday,
impressive.
but I do know you are Tom Harwood.
I am Tom Harwood.
And I'm Dawn Neeson, I think.
That's
yes.
right. Now it's 12 months on from the nationwide riots, with fresh protests now flaring over asylum hotels. Has Britain really learnt the lessons?
And foreign criminals are...
Well, here in Aldershot, is there a loss of trust in communities? We'll be finding out whether a year on from the disorder we saw last year, whether anything has changed.
And foreign criminals flooding UK prisons. New figures reveal a surge in violent and sexual offenders from overseas, with the prison population rising and costs nearing 600 million a year. Is Britain paying the price for record immigration?
Elsewhere, a secretive Whitehall unit is accused of monitoring your social media, targeting anyone who dares to criticise asylum policies on immigration. We'll be speaking to the man behind this report.
It's certainly not about monitoring or looking at free speech and people's ability to say what they believe should or shouldn't happen in terms of immigration policy.
A landmark Supreme Court ruling today. It could spark one of the biggest compensation payouts in UK history, as millions of drivers may have been missold car finance through hidden commissions. Is this the next PPI scandal?
And civil servant internships are going to be restricted to students from working class backgrounds only. That's depending on what your parents did when you were 14 years old. Is this a good policy?
And it's not even 3 p.m. yet, but thousands of remote workers are already getting ready to clock off. New data shows a Friday afternoon switch-off trend, so is the UK turning into a 3-day weekend nation.
Of course, Dawn, we'd never clock off at 3 o'clock.
Well, in theory, no, we've got an hour to go, then we're down the pub, aren't we?
That's only in theory, of course, because the work always continues after the show ends.
Yes.
But it is a little bit awkward that we're talking about this this news report, that so many people, so many lazy working from home people clock off at 3 when that is the precise time this show ends.
Oh, it's purely coincidental. And if you are clocking off at 3, remember you can take GB News with you wherever you're going, even in the pub, because we are on your phone, we're on your laptops, and if you get a chip in your head, we could even be able to chip in your head.
We can
Who knows? That could be
beam
the future.
ourselves directly into your brain.
Yes.
But of course, you can visit gbnews.com, not just to comment on everything that we're talking about today, but to see all the other stuff we get up to when we're not live on your screen.
Yes.
Go to the GB News YouTube channel, see some of our original content there.
Oh, God, is that video? Was that video of you up there now?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, you don't want to see that one. But before we get into the rest of the show, which is a cracker, let's get the news headlines with Lewis Mackenzie.
Tom, Dawn, thank you very much. Good afternoon. It's just after 2 o'clock. Here are your latest GB News headlines. It's been revealed that foreign-born prisoners account for 1 in 8 of the total UK jail population. According to official data published for the first time, the number of foreigners in prisons for serious violent, sexual and theft offences has also risen over the last year. Conservative MP Katie Lamb told GB News they should all be removed from the country.
They all need to be deported. So the Conservatives actually in Parliament tried to amend the law, the Borders Bill that the government passed earlier this year, to say that everybody who commits a crime will need to leave the country. And I and my Shadow Home Office colleagues tabled those amendments and voted for them. The government voted them down, but there is absolutely no reason to have foreign criminals in the UK.
Reports suggest a Whitehall spy unit has been used by the government to target social media posts criticising migrant hotels and two-tier policing. The Telegraph newspaper claims officials working for the Technology Secretary Peter Kyle have flagged videos with, quote, concerning narratives to social media giants, including TikTok, warning that they are exacerbating tensions on the streets. Home Office Minister Dame Diana Johnson told GB News Breakfast that free speech is a cornerstone of our democracy and that the Online Safety Act protects it.
No, we're not having our free speech monitored at all. And it's absolutely right that people can express their views within the law on social media. What I would say is that the police, and particularly last autumn when we had the disorder in August actually, it was absolutely right that the police should be looking and monitoring what was being put onto social media in terms of organisation of riots and have that information to allow them then to plan what they needed to provide in terms of protecting the public.
10 men have been arrested over historic child sexual abuse offences in Bradford. The 10 men, aged between 49 and 71, have been interviewed and bailed pending further inquiries. The allegations relate to offences which are reported to have occurred in the district between 1994 and 1997 and relate to 6 victims who were aged 13 to 15 at the time. The US has announced fresh tariffs on more than 90 countries as Donald Trump's deadline to strike trade deals passes. Tariffs on Canada are set to increase from 25% to 35%. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says that he is devastated and disappointed, I should say. And south of the border, higher tariffs for Mexico are being paused for another 90 days, while Brazil faces 50% levies. Tariffs on the UK remain at 10%. Jeremy Clarkson has revealed parts of his farm will shut for 2 months due to bovine TB outbreak. In a social media post on X, the former Top Gear host said everyone at Diddley Squat Farm was absolutely devastated. He later wrote that the infected cow was pregnant with twins. Cattle that fail a TB test or animals that have inconclusive results for 2 consecutive tests must be isolated, then sent to slaughter. Clarkson has clarified that the farm is still operational, but they cannot buy or sell any cows. Well, those are your latest GB News headlines for now. I'm Lewis Mackenzie. Finance next.
My Claim Group sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
And here's a quick snapshot of today's markets. The pound will buy you $1.3157 and €1.1539. The price of gold is at £2,507.30 per ounce, and the FTSE 100's at 9,088 points.
My Claim Group sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 7 minutes past 2. Now, 12 months ago, Britain was in turmoil. Burning streets and broken trust, the 2024 riots marked a turning point, not just in politics, but in the lives of ordinary people too.
Yes, indeed. Today we return to the heart of our community to see what's changed. GB News reporter Jack Carson joins us live from Aldershot.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we're here in Aldershot. You've been hearing all day. We've been speaking to people about their concerns, whether a year on from that disorder that we saw, not only here in Aldershot, but also up and down the country as well, whether anything has changed. What are those frustrations that people had then, and do they still have them now? I'm delighted to be joined by Mary Hartley. Thank you so much for joining us. You're a local resident here.
Yes, I am.
Looking back to that disorder a year ago, you know, and that question, those frustrations that people had then, do you think that's changed? Do you think it's got better, for worse? What do you think?
Well, I think things have changed slightly, but that's just a personal opinion. But I know for a fact that a lot of people are still very, very angry about the illegal immigrants going into these immigrant hotels. We've got 2 in the area at the moment, and people are definitely not happy about that at all.
So what are some of the issues for you, that matter here? And do you feel like people, the politicians, whether locally, more nationally in government, do you feel like people are listening to those concerns, trying their best to make the changes that you might want to see?
Sometimes, no, I don't think they are. We've got a lot of people who are on the waiting lists for housing here in Aldershot and Farnborough. And they get very angry because there's priorities given to these illegal immigrants going into these hotels. We've also had the overspill from Newham, from the flats, from there, and they're not putting the local people first, which I feel that they should do.
So is that one of the things that you'd like to see change? Thinking about the things that are important to you, the issues you mentioned there, housing, what for you need to change? What, you know, if you were in that position of power, how would you change things to try and, you know, get around the frustrations that yourself and other people have in this area?
Well, I don't have any personal ideas on that, but I do feel very strongly about the local people getting local houses in the place where they live, and they should be put first and they should have priorities. And I think that the council should be doing that and putting the people first.
And obviously there's a lot of people here that are ex-military, a lot of veterans here. You know, we're standing by one of the statues here for the Parachute Regiment and Airborne Forces. There's a lot of pride about the history that this place has, isn't there? And you've got that yourself with your own family.
Yes, I have. I've lived here now for 35 years, and I chose 45 years actually, and I chose to make Aldershot my home. I come from London, but I've made Aldershot my home. My husband served in the army for many, many years, and I'm proud of this our community. I'm proud of all the people that live in Aldershot and Farnborough. We are a strong community. We have a Victoria Day every year, and it's just proof of the local community coming out in support of everything, and it's just a lovely place to live. Then we've got the cohesion with the Nepali people that live here. We've gradually learnt over the last 20 years to live alongside each other. We rub off on one another, and give it another 10 years and I think that we will be totally working together. We have the same values as the Nepalis, and it's really good having them live in the borough with us.
So asking that ultimate question then finally, a year on from that disorder that we saw in places like here and across the country, has anything changed?
No. The people are still some people are still very, very angry about it. And you can imagine we've got another thing coming off next week, demonstration, I believe. And yes, they're just very, very angry.
All right, Mary, thank you so much for joining us and giving us that perspective as a local resident. As you heard from there, still a lot of frustrations in so many different areas. For Mary, you know, there's a real disappointment at housing in the area, but from people we've heard on the streets as well, it's antisocial behaviour on the high street, it's closed shops on the high street. A lot of issues people here still aren't being sorted out.
Jack, thank you very much. That's GB News reporter Jack Carson, live from Aldershot. Well, joining us now in the studio is Mark White. Mark, you were covering these events live a year ago. Do you think anything's changed? What was it like for you then? I mean, are people hearing that, you know, are we hearing that people are feeling better?
I'd love to be more positive about where we are 12 months on, but I'm not at all positive. I think the tensions are still there, and in some communities very high indeed. We've seen them manifest in multiple protests at asylum hotels in a number of different locations, sparked by incidents or alleged incidents involving asylum seekers in those hotels. And thus far, apart from some relatively low-scale disorder, it's been contained. But there is real concern within government and amongst policing circles about the potential for there to be significant disorder if something else happens, if we get a critical mass, basically, because that's what happened last year with those terrible events in Southport that really just brought out that anger amongst many people. And, of course, that was fed by all of the issues that we've been discussing over mass uncontrolled migration, illegal immigration across the English Channel, all the strains that that's put on communities in terms of not being able to get a doctor's appointment, housing stock, schools, all of the above have really just led to communities being very disenchanted.
But also communities have been told, electoral cycle after electoral cycle, that migration, both illegal and legal, will come down. And politicians have done precisely the opposite. You've got this current government that got elected basically saying all you need is competent people in charge and the small boats will stop and illegal migration can be controlled. All you need is the sensibles back in charge and this problem will melt away. And instead it's gone in the other direction. I mean, 50% higher small boat crossings this year compared to last year.
If we want to take one positive, that's because of changes enacted by the previous government, we are seeing legal migration going down at the moment because of sort of tougher restrictions on family members that can be brought around for those on student visas and social care visas and the like. Quite a few changes that are bringing that number down. It's still very, very high, and it will be very high for quite a time to come. But
those numbers aren't the people that are being put up in hotels at taxpayers' expense.
Exactly what I was going to say. It's the illegal migration across the English Channel is the most visible manifestation of the illegal migrant crisis, and the fact that tens of thousands of people are being filtered out to hotels right across the country and now increasingly into houses near you, into your local community, because of this policy the government has adopted, which is to go away from what was a very controversial policy, the use of hotels, into the likes of houses of multiple occupation, where you're going to have a dozen or so young men in a street near you. That's still not acceptable, and in many ways is probably even more unacceptable than the issue around migrant hotels.
The bottom line is, it's not what we do with these people when they are here. It's to stop them coming here in the first place, and we don't have any deterrents. The latest announcement from our government was they are launching an elite task force to tackle our social media posts.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think the government is so ill-advised when it goes on missions like this, because it just smacks of shooting the messenger, going after the messenger, rather than actually the issue that is fueling the real concerns and tensions in communities right across the country. That's what needs to be addressed. But we've seen it this week with 900 coming just on Wednesday there, that they just don't have a grip of it at all.
And yet this is after the deal that the government signed with France to allow for the first time people to be taken back to France, obviously capped at sort of 1 in 17 to the start point, but it hasn't even begun yet.
No. If it ever begins, Tom, that's the thing. We've got southern European countries, quite understandably, saying we don't really want any part of this because we know exactly what's going to happen. France won't actually take migrants back from the UK. They'll be returned to France to go on to Greece or Italy or Spain or whichever country they can prove this migrant came into the European Union through. So they don't want any part of it. And anyway, it's such a small minority of people coming across the Channel. Is it going to make any difference in terms of a deterrent? I doubt it.
Well, on that positive, happy note,
Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.
Oh, dear Lord.
Now, from France and England to a country that speaks both French and English. Yes, President Trump has unveiled new tariff rules, particularly on Canada. Well, the United Kingdom's been spared from further hikes, but Canada itself have had hikes in their rates up to 35% in a new executive order.
So joining us now is Canadian journalist Mark Slabinski to explain exactly what's going on here. Mark, I mean, 25%, that is really up in the ante in the incredible war currently going on between America and Canada.
It is for sure, yeah. It's definitely a significant increase.
But I suppose, Mark, the question is, why did this happen? There were all sorts of pieces of speculation at the moment that Canada said it would recognise the state of Palestine at the United Nations in September. Donald Trump said, well, maybe you're going to get more tariffs. A couple of days later, Canada gets more tariffs. Is that what's going on here?
Well, I think Mark Carney's decision to do that definitely didn't help. Throwing more stuff out there that's going to anger Donald Trump was clearly not the best move. So I think that was part of it. But I think a big part of what Donald Trump is saying is the fentanyl.
So what exactly is the issue with regard to fentanyl here? Because that was the excuse for the first time when these tariffs were slapped on Canada against the USMCA trade deal, which, of course, Donald Trump negotiated himself in his first term. And that was all ripped up in Trump 2 because of this idea of fentanyl across the border.
Yeah, I don't fully understand it. Like, some fentanyl does come from Canada into the United States. My understanding is that the majority of it comes from Mexico. Yeah. Like, I looked today, and it's only like a very tiny fraction in June was the fentanyl came in from Canada. So I'm not sure what's going on there.
I suppose the other strange thing is that there's a relatively balanced trading relationship between between Canada and the United States. I mean, I suppose it depends if you include energy or not, and different sides choose to not. Yeah. But I mean, where does this go from here? Because the United States and Canada have such integrated economies. So many states are border, towns that are just sort of a mile or two on the other side, and almost everything goes pretty free-flowing between these two countries. And if everything is going to be a third more expensive now, to go from one side to the other, this is going to be really, really difficult for these border communities to continue as they are.
Absolutely. I think the good news is that the tariffs only apply to goods that are not covered by CUSMA. And I think 90% of the goods that go into the United States are covered by CUSMA. So it's just
do explain CUSMA for us?
I don't know the whole details, but it's basically Canada and the United States that it's basically free trade except for certain industries that have tariffs.
OK, Mark, keeping on the sort of like the human level, how is this playing out with the Canadian people? Is there a lot of anger about these tariffs?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I talk to my friends in Toronto, they're very upset about this.
And what do you...
Yeah, and I think, like, there's a lot of conservatives online that say, this isn't a big deal, everything's Mark Carney's fault. I don't really take that position. I think that, yes, there's legitimate criticism of our government, but this is just making things worse from Trump's end.
I mean, we've seen some campaigns in Canada to boycott American products. We've seen American sports teams booed at stadiums. Is that stuff ramping up now? What's the state of play?
I wouldn't say it's ramping up. I think probably the worst of it is over because we're starting to realize that these tariffs aren't affecting us as much as they could. But I think the anger is still going on. There, like you said, there are people boycotting the United States. There's people that have money that are just choosing not to travel there. And I think that's going to continue.
OK, thank you very much. That's Mark Slabinski, Canadian journalist. Thank you very much for joining us there.
Well, perhaps you want to avoid the worst excesses of tariffs. Of course, the UK has only got 10%,
well,
unlike the 15% of the European Union, 35% for Canada.
You know what worries me, Tom, was the President said that before the new rate was announced, it would be very hard to make a deal with Canada after it gave its support to Palestinian statehood. What's Keir Starmer done?
Well, I suppose he said that he might, depending on what conditions are met. Is it going to be slightly difficult for us come September?
Yes.
Well, I suppose we don't know. But if it does get difficult for the UK economy, you might want to have an extra £54,321 to help you smooth through any economic bumps in the road that we may hit.
Indeed. That was very clever. Well done. And it is indeed our biggest cash giveaway to date, and it could all be yours. And I think the line's closed in about an hour and a half, so you need to be a bit fast on this one. Here's your details for you.
There's only a few hours left now to see how you can win big. £54,321 in tax-free cash is up for grabs in our summer Great British giveaway. Cash to spend on anything you like. All of that cash could send you on a holiday, boost your savings, or just send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing. Lines close at 4 p.m. today, so get your entry in now. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Best thing about that, absolutely tax-free.
Yeah, good luck.
Rachel Reeves can't get her hands on it.
No, but if you hang on too long, she might figure out a way of doing it.
Oh, no.
So, it's like, yeah.
So this is supposed to be an uplifting moment of the show.
I know, but if you put it in your pension pot, I wouldn't hold your breath on that one.
Oh, dear.
Being free from... But any case, good luck. Go
well,
for
yes,
it.
this is Good Afternoon Britain. Plenty more to come, including this secretive Whitehall unit accused of monitoring your social media, targeting anyone who dares to criticise asylum or immigration policies. That next.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, you say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around, a nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 27 minutes past 2. Now, a secretive Whitehall spy unit has reportedly been used by the government to target social media posts criticising migrant hotels and even two-tier policing.
According to today's Telegraph, emails obtained by a US committee reveal that civil servants raised concerns with social media platforms, warning that certain posts contain concerning narratives. The reports have sparked accusations of state censorship, something the Home Office strenuously denies.
Well, first on this one, let's go to our political editor, Chris Hope. Chris, this is difficult for the government because they always say we're a country that's always had free speech, we don't monitor, we don't censor. But, I mean, there's evidence here completely to the contrary.
That's right. This group was called the Counter-Disinformation Unit, based in the Cabinet Office. They've renamed themselves, perhaps not surprisingly, given the Orwellian tones of that name, because they were watching anti-lockdown conversations on the internet during the COVID pandemic. It's now called the National Security and Online Information Team, but they're still at it. Now, Tony Diver from The Telegraph has looked into this using freedom of information, using some disclosures, it seems, to US congressmen. But it has found that this group, that civil servants on this group, have been going to TikTok and the like, asking what they're going to do about certain tweets or certain messages, I should say, or TikTok from people. Any measures you've taken in response, as soon as you're able to, they say there are significant risks of protests at migrant hotels becoming violent because of the posts. One civil servant said there's a definite sense of urgency. So you've got the government pressuring the social media companies to deal with remarks on social media when it's just social media. I mean, why is this happening? I don't know. Jim Jordan, he's this congressman who found the information out. He chairs an important committee on Capitol Hill. He says that mean tweets get you a longer prison sentence than many violent offences in Britain, and he's right. Look at Lucy Connolly. Why is this happening? I mean, it is extraordinary and alarming.
Chris, but to stay with us, we are now going to actually talk to Associate Political Editor at The Telegraph, Tony Diver, who is an actual journalist who put this report together. Tony, thank you very much for joining. Now, this is a shocking story, and it comes from America. It was the Americans who found out this was going on.
That's right. I think that's one of the most interesting things about this story is that we only know about it because of a subpoena by the House Judiciary Committee to the tech companies, in this case TikTok, but we understand that subpoenas have also been sent to X and to Meta and to other platforms. Only they have been able to find out what was going on behind the scenes. The British government, who was sending the emails, hasn't disclosed them. And so it's only because of the work that this committee is doing that we found out what was really going on during the Southport riots last year.
And to be clear, this was warning shots, basically, being fired by the technology department, by DCIT, saying, keep an eye on this stuff, saying, take this stuff down. How far did it go?
Well, the government's policy is that they don't tell social media companies that they have to take posts down. The purpose of that unit is to monitor what's being posted. In some cases, find examples of content that the government finds concerning, in their words, and point out to the companies things that they think might be a breach of their own terms of service. And so the government is able to say, in response to this story, well, we haven't told anyone what to do. All we've done has been a sort of helpful pointer service, which has shown you some things that you might want to think about taking down. And that's allowed them to try and avoid the accusations that they're directly censoring things.
But my goodness me, if you're a technology company and you get an email from the government saying, maybe you should look at this, I mean, that is censorship in all but name.
Yeah.
Well, the government has something called trusted flagger status, which means that basically any request that it makes to tech companies gets sent straight to the top of the pile. So if you or I was to send something to TikTok and say that we thought that it breached the terms of service, you'd probably be waiting quite a while before you had a response, whereas the government gets sort of premium service and hears about it straight away. But I think the important thing, Tom, is that we're hearing about this in the same week that the Online Harms Bill is being enforced for the first time. We're seeing massive amounts of scrutiny on the government and how they're policing what people do online. I think the timing of this story is actually very unfortunate.
Tony, the government have denied that they are censoring free speech. They say we have free speech in this country. Do you believe that?
Well, the government is correct in saying that they don't directly censor anything that happens on the internet. I mean, I was on the team that wrote that original story that Chris mentioned there about the Counter-Disinformation Unit, which was monitoring some posts about lockdown, people having objections to children being vaccinated, for instance. That was all being monitored during the COVID era. I think we have seen some changes since then. I think we've seen the government respond to some of this criticism. For instance, the terms of this newly rebranded unit, which we're writing about today, say that they're not allowed to flag content written by journalists and content written by politicians. And that's because during the pandemic, a lot of the stuff that was getting flagged was actually very well researched, well-resourced journalism that was inconvenient for the government. What we're now seeing is we're only looking at posts from individual users, but of course the government is going to face accusations that that is effectively censorship.
Yeah, I remember a speech by David Davis in Parliament being taken down from YouTube because it was critical of mandatory vaccination. But this is the crazy thing, right? On the one hand, whilst the government is saying, OK, we're going to be more light touch on this, on the other hand, a week today ago, we saw the implementation of the next stage of the online safety bill, which has led to the effect of social media companies taking down parliamentary speeches, including from Katie Lamb, criticising the grooming gang scandal, reading the testimony of those that have been victims in the grooming gang scandal. That testimony being taken down left, right and centre from social media companies because social media companies feel, again, not directly told to take it down by the government, but because they could get these massive fines if anything inappropriate for under 18s is shown, they're being overly cautious. And the way that the government is sort of setting the rules of the game almost incentivises these companies to be overly cautious and to take down content of their own volition.
Well, I think these companies are very concerned. If you accidentally end up on the wrong side of this rule, then, as you say, you stand to get fined a significant proportion of your global revenue. That's both in the UK and in the EU, which has got similar rules. So, yes, if you were a tech company, of course you would do everything you could to comply, and you'd probably be a bit overzealous about it because you want to try and avoid those fines. I think tech companies are going to have to try and find some way of following the rules that the government set out without censoring things. I mean, in some cases, people are saying that they can't even listen to songs on their Spotify playlists because they have to prove their age to do that. There clearly are some pretty significant difficulties in trying to implement this legislation. But when people raise these criticisms and when they say to the government that they should be doing more to implement it differently, Peter Kyle goes on TV and he says that anyone who opposes it is aligned with Jimmy Savile. I think there's been a bit of concern from some critics of this legislation that is a bit of a tone-deaf response to the government, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, Tony, obviously the online safety bill, it had good intentions to start off with, but the potential for chilling overreach, I think, is taking us down a dangerous path. Where do you think this is going to end?
I don't know. I don't know how they're going to be able to change the way that this legislation is enforced in such a way that it doesn't create massive problems both for users and for the tech companies that run those platforms. I think as regards the disinformation story and the stuff that we wrote this morning, I think the government is going to continue to face questions, including from the US government. I mean, the person that Chris mentioned raised all of this stuff originally, Jim Jordan. He's a very influential member of Congress in the US. He's very close to Donald Trump, and members of the Trump administration are already saying that they have concerns about free speech. So, you know, I would say that really the direction this story is going is to become a foreign affairs story. It's going to become a story about how American companies, on the whole, are being forced into taking content down or restricting it on behalf of the British government. And I think there are some American politicians with the First Amendment in mind who will have some pretty major concerns about that.
Yeah, we spoke to a lawyer yesterday on this programme representing a number of those companies in the United States who feel like this is sort of 1776 all over again, that the British are going after American companies that aren't on British soil, that don't intend to operate in Britain, but are being threatened with imprisonment as a result of all the new legislative changes from the government. But Tony Diver, thanks for bringing us your story today. Really, really interesting stuff. It'll be fascinating to see how this all plays out.
Chris, for bringing you back into this, how damaging could this be for the relationship between the special relationship, if you like, between Keir Starmer and Donald Trump?
Well, we heard from J.D. Vance, of course, who's the Vice President. He said, didn't he, at the Munich Security Conference, that he worries about freedom of speech in this country, in Europe, and naming the UK. I think the issue there was an anti-abortion campaigner praying outside an abortion centre, for memory. But, yeah, they do. I mean, back then there was a concern it might delay a trade deal. That hasn't happened, but there's no question. The Americans look at this and wonder, what on earth, why don't we have any protections on free speech at all in our country? It's not clear to them. And that line now from that congressman pointing out the fact that, you know, mean tweets get you imprisoned, but being violent doesn't. That is hard to explain to an American, and it will be a problem, I think.
It was very interesting when Bev Turner pointed out that Truth Social, his social media, could be one of these that's being censored.
And he said he hoped not, of course, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that one.
Slightly startled.
Yes, well, Bev's a fierce questioner.
Yes, she very is indeed. Thank you very much.
As are you, of course, Christopher Hope. But thanks indeed for joining us, and Tony Divert for you. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more still to come.
Yeah, civil servant internships are to be restricted to students from working class backgrounds. Is that fair policy? Does it make sense? See you after this break.
Hello, very good day to you. This is your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, Storm Floris has just been named and it's going to bring some very wet and very windy weather, particularly to northern parts on Monday, but starting off going through the rest of today. And there are some showers around, particularly across central and more so eastern parts. And here it could be quite blustery too, but there will be some sunny breaks in between the showers. A fair good deal amount of sunshine across some western parts, and in that sunshine it's going to feel pretty warm. Temperatures not quite as high as they have been recently, but nonetheless still just about getting into the high teens or low 20s for quite a few places. Then as we go through into this evening, still a scattering of showers, particularly across central and eastern parts. The odd heavy one is possible. Further west, a greater chance of avoiding the showers. Across Northern Ireland, only 1 or 2 showers perhaps here. Across parts of northern England, central eastern Scotland, a fair few showers for a little while yet, but as we go overnight, most of the showers are going to fizzle out. They're going to die out and clear away, and so it is going to turn largely dry with clear skies, the exception being across parts of the far east of England, East Anglia for example, a swathe of showery rain likely to push in as we go through the early hours of tomorrow. Elsewhere, under those clear skies then, it is going to be a bit of a fresh night, a little bit chillier than some recent nights, with temperatures away from the towns and cities quite widely just about dipping into single digits. Then through tomorrow, yes, a bit more cloud and some showery rain across the far east, southeast of England early on, but otherwise it's looking like a largely fine day, only 1 or 2 showers around, some decent sunny spells to look forward to, and with that temperatures are going to be a little bit higher than today. We're looking at highs of around 24 or 25 Celsius. But as we go through into Sunday, there is going to be a band of rain sweeping its way southeastwards. Could be quite heavy and thundery as well, and then on Monday, a deep area of low pressure, Storm Floris, is going to bring some very windy weather.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A82 is closed between Crianlarich and Tindrum due to an incident, with diversions in place. Maintenance on the A40 from the Gibraltar tunnels to Mitchell Troy causes a full closure with detours. In Leeds, broken down vehicles on the A1M southbound between junctions 44 and 42 cause delays. A collision on the A42 southbound in Leicestershire impacts traffic. On the M25 anti-clockwise, congestion between junctions 3 and 1A leads to delays. And on the trains, disruptions affect the Elizabeth line between London Paddington and Reading. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's now 20 to 3, and you definitely don't want to know what we were talking about in the advert break.
No. Well, I could actually mention that those of you have been very kindly commenting on the fact that I should get my fringe out of my eyes. I'm sorry, I am aware that it's annoying. I will do my best to keep doing that Timotei advert thing.
Oh, yeah, there's the Bieber flick, I think.
Do you remember that?
Called.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So
yeah.
Apologies for that. And, of course, we should mention why the lovely Emily isn't here.
Oh, yes.
So you may have noticed a sharp-eyed remark. She's having a baby quite soon. So
I don't think anyone's mentioned.
No. So she's taking a well-deserved day of rest.
Absolutely, and that will be every Friday from now on that Emily is not here in August, in the run-up to the big day of birth.
Yeah, because nobody wants to go into giving birth to a baby after just coming straight from
we'll induce labour.
To be honest with you.
Not be good.
No.
But we should move on to the news now, shouldn't we?
Should we? Yeah.
Yes, the government will tighten eligibility criteria for Whitehall internships as part of a broader push to make the civil service more representative of the working classes.
Minister responsible for civil service reform, Pat McFadden, says that Whitehall needs to reflect the broader community. So should Whitehall internships be limited to working class students?
Well, we're joined by the Director of Research at the Policy Exchange think tank and a former senior civil servant himself, Ian Mansfield. Ian, thanks so much for joining us. This is a pretty radical policy from the government. So, I wonder if
I think
we've
the
got
most distressing thing is that it's not. So I think the most distressing thing is that it's not. These sorts of discriminatory schemes have been well embedded in the public sector for around 20 years. So back in 2006, when I joined the civil service, the internship scheme at the time, the only internship scheme, was only for ethnic minority candidates. Right now, MI6 runs a scheme that is only for ethnic minority candidates or those from working class backgrounds. So this latest move is just another example in the long trend of rejecting meritocracy in favour of social engineering.
So basically, their definition of working class is what your parents did when you were 14 years old. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, that's correct, as I understand it.
Right.
What does this actually then mean? I mean, I would have thought that the best way to do hiring for internships is, as many reputable organisations do, CV blind. You know, you turn up, if you're good, you do a piece of work, if it's great, you come in. I don't care who your parents are, I don't care where you've come from. But this is strange, because if your parents happen to have gone to university or have made something of themselves, you're going to be excluded.
Yep, well, absolutely. You could have someone who was a police officer, perhaps, who had gone to university in a certain role, done well, maybe left school quite early, worked their way up, developed themselves, and yet because of where they were when you were 14 and someone else who might have then struck rich later on in life. Fundamentally, though, it's about all of these discriminatory schemes, whether they're based on class, whether they're based on race, whether they're based on anything, are about the rejection of the search for talent. And of course, as you say, there can be schemes which can be uneven. We don't want the permanent secretary to give out internships to his or her mates' children. We don't want something where it's based on what school you came from. But CV blind, objective tests, background blind, I should say, objective tests,
Ian,
that's the way to go.
Is there not a difficulty here, given that some completely CV blind objective tests, whether it's verbal reasoning, non-verbal reasoning measurements, do reflect inequalities? There are perhaps some inequalities in society, no matter what sort of social engineering you try and do.
So, of course, there's inequalities in society, and what we should do, which is what, for example, the last government did, is invest in our schools, invest in libraries to give every child the opportunity to fill their potential. But when it comes to an employer, particularly an employer whose job is to help run the country, their job isn't to do some sort of social engineering exercise. It's to get the best people in so that they can make the best decisions to run our hospitals, run our schools, sort out crime, manage our taxes, and do all the rest of it. Now, if we do have worries, for example, you might have a worry that there are some people from poor backgrounds who might not be able to afford to take up an internship in London. So maybe you could give them a bursary for travel costs, but still only appoint the best on merit. There are things that the government could do here without this rejection of meritocracy. I mean, on one level, good old-fashioned class war is better than wokery, because at least you know where you stand. But meritocracy is better than either.
Ian, finally, we are running out of time, unfortunately, but isn't the bottom line here, we just need less civil servants in general, to be honest with you? It's an expensive blob.
Yeah, well, it's certainly true. So the number of civil servants has risen by over 20% since 2016. Very hard to see the case for that. And the government said it should cut them by 15%. At Policy Exchange, we've said they should go further, more like 25%. So, yeah, that would be a good step as well.
OK, well, Ian Mansfield, thanks indeed for joining us, Director of Research at Policy Exchange.
The problem I have with this story is Labour can't define what a woman is, so a working class woman is just going to completely blow their minds. I mean, they're in trouble, aren't they?
Not good. Well, perhaps you'd like to get away from all of this selective madness and go on holiday. Here's the travel weather.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you or anyone you know is heading further afield this weekend, it's going to be very wet in northern Italy and Slovenia. Fine elsewhere, just 1 or 2 showers for the Canaries, a brisk breeze for Madeira. That breeze actually bringing some warmth to Portugal and to parts of Spain as well. But it's for northern Italy into Slovenia, parts of Croatia. We're going to see some very wet weather over the next few days, that transferring southeast into parts of Greece early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It is 14:50, so it's 10 to 3 basically, nearly 3 o'clock, which is important because it's a Friday. And if you're working from home, chances are you've already mentally clocked off already.
Yes, this is from new data, which shows a sharp drop of internet activity late on Friday afternoons. I wonder why. Well, this is apparently when remote workers, that's what we call people who work from home, they shut their laptops and head to the pub. Or they hit the road for the weekend, and most say they don't feel the slightest bit of guilt.
Yes, and we will be clocking off shortly, won't we?
Well, because that'll be 3 o'clock.
It's nearly 3
Which is the end of the show.
Yes.
But there's something else that we need to do before the show ends as well.
Oh, is there?
I think we need to have a bit of a celebration. Because for the first time in the 4 years that this news channel has been on air, for the entirety of the last month on average, we were the #1 news channel in the UK by viewership. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being there with us. I mean, it's taken... We've been ahead of some other unnamed rivals before, but not all the lot put together, and that's what we've been able to do over the last month.
It is a great achievement, and speaking as a very, very old, you might have pointed this out several times, Tom, a very old newspaper journalist, I think the one thing GB News does so brilliantly is give young like him, journalists a great opportunity to actually blossom into brilliant journalists.
Well, a rose by any other name might swell as sweet,
so
but...
I think we raise a toast.
I think we should raise a toast, not only to it being 3 o'clock and therefore remote workers the country over clocking off and going to the pub. We can't quite go to the pub, so we've brought the pub to us.
Yes, indeed. So,
and
cheers, Tom.
Cheers to cheers to 3 o'clock, but also mainly cheers to Good Afternoon Britain, cheers to GB News, and thank you for tuning in and helping making GB News Britain's #1 news channel.
Yeah, because this is all about you. Never, ever, ever forget that there is only one channel, and I really do believe this, there is only one channel that really talks to people and, more importantly, listens to you, possibly more than the government do at the moment. We are here, always here for you. You can get in touch all the time. We do read all your messages, and we can't thank you enough for your support and for tuning in every day. And even if some of us got irritating fringes, I get that.
But we like that. That's what makes GB News different.
We're real.
Absolutely real. Sometimes our hair goes in silly directions, and that's OK. And you can comment about it, and we'll hopefully try and... There we go. We haven't done something silly yet today. Hang on. I've even forgotten how my hair goes. Disaster. But this is the thing. It's authentic, and you can get involved. And GB News is not about the people that sit around this desk. It is about so much involved about everyone that is part of it watching at home.
Thank you very much from everyone at GB News, but don't go anywhere because we are continuing throughout the day with some brilliant broadcasting. Up next, we have the wonderful Martin Daubney, indeed. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Hello guys, you join me from Sunderland, the historic Gunners Club and Armed Forces Veterans Club, 1 year on from the riots that swept across 18 towns across the UK. What drove them? Could they be replicated again? I'll be inside there speaking to Armed Forces veterans, local politicians, local activists. Sunderland, 1 year on. Could it happen again? Stay tuned, going to be unmissable television. But first, here is your weather forecast.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello again, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, tomorrow's looking largely fine, but on Sunday we have a band of heavy rain pushing through, and then on Monday, Storm Floris is going to bring some very windy weather. But for the time being, there's actually a ridge of high pressure to the southwest that's pushing its way in, and this is going to lead to today's showers fizzling out and clearing away as we go through this evening and the start of the night, leaving things largely dry and largely clear, the exception being across parts of the far east of England, East Anglia, a bit more cloud here and some showery rain pushing through as well. Elsewhere, where we get those clear skies, it is going to be a fresher night than of late. Temperatures away from the towns and cities dipping into single digits, but across parts of the east of England staying that little bit milder because of the cloud here. And there will be some further spells of showery rain as we go through tomorrow morning, particularly still across East Anglia, maybe into Kent as well. Most other places, though, having a fine start to the day. Yes, a fresher start than of late, but lots of sunshine around. Just 1 or 2 showers, perhaps. Most of us not seeing any showers. It is looking largely dry. As we go through into the afternoon, we are going to see the cloud bubbling up a little bit. So not quite so much sunshine, but nonetheless, there will be some decent sunny spells. And in the sunshine and with generally light winds, it's going to feel pretty warm. Temperatures are going to be a little bit higher than today. We're looking at highs of around 24, 25 Celsius towards the south and high teens or low 20s further north. Staying fine for many as we go through the end of the day tomorrow, but towards the northwest there is some cloud that's going to push its way in, and there's some rain ready to arrive as well. This rain is going to be pretty heavy for a time as it pushes its way southeastwards across much of the country on Sunday. It could be a bit thundery at times too, but then Storm Floris arrives on Monday. This is set to bring some unseasonably strong winds, particularly in the north.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through